Hello, welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. 6TOFL. Chapter 30. Helping an Old Friend, Part 2. What? That was the word that left the mouth of everyone but Asta and Fanzel, their eyes all widening in complete shock. You're not from the Clover Kingdom, but the Diamond Kingdom? Kenos asked once he found his voice. Fanzel nodded. That's right, the Diamond Kingdom is infamous for ruthlessly experimenting on their own citizens to create stronger mages. Asta, Noel, Luck, and Kenos narrowed their eyes, remembering their battle with Andreas and Mars of the Diamond Kingdom back in the dungeon, and the dangerous power of their twin attributes. Yeah, we've seen the power of those experiments firsthand, Asta said. Well, I was disgusted by the fact that they cared so little for the well-being of their own people, so Dominant and I left. The king didn't take too kindly to that and sent assassins to find and kill us, so we decided to split up. I retreated to Hage, but I'm not sure where she went, Fanzel continued. Eventually, I was found by the assassins in Hage, but Asta helped me defeat them. It seems that they're sending another group to get the job done. Okay then, this just got a lot harder, Yami groaned. What's our plan of action, Captain Yami? Kenos asked. Can't we just have Finral teleport us somewhere away from the base and move from there? That's not a bad plan, but those diamond bastards already have this place surrounded. If we move out, they're going to go on the offensive, which can damage the base. Worst case scenario, they realize what we're doing and move further into the kingdom to find us, which will give them hostages, the Dark Mage replied as he blew smoke. Which means the best option for us is to kick their asses here and now. I like that plan, but first, we should see who our enemies are and where they're positioned before going into battle, Fanzel said as he crouched down and moved towards the window, hoping to get a visual of the threat. He peered out and saw about 20 mages, 10 on the trees and 10 on the ground. He kept scanning, but stopped as he noticed something in particular. Standing on a tree were two people. One was a tall man, he wore a hood, but his brown hair and beard were visible, and although he was wearing similar attire to most of the mages there, he had a red belt around his waist. The other one was a young girl. She was wearing an entirely different attire than the ones around her. She wore a short-sleeved white shirt, a short reddish mahogany skirt, a long black fur cape, and strapped around her waist was her satchel and grimoire. Damn it, I didn't think they'd be here, Fanzel said. Who's here? Noel asked. Galio, a spatial mage and the commander of the Diamond Kingdom's assassination squad, and with him is Mariella, the Wind Mage replied, his eyes growing more serious as he spoke the last name. Mariella's here, Asta asked. His former master nodded. Who's that? Kenos asked. She was one of Old Man Zell's students, a powerful ice mage. I met her in Hage when she and the assassins tried to kill Old Man Zell the first time, the swordsman replied. Okay, it's clear that out of everyone out there, those two are the biggest threats, Vanessa noted. We have an idea of our enemy and we know who we have to worry about, so should we engage? The solar mage asked. Fanzel shook his head. Not yet. We may know all of that, but we still don't know our plan of action. He's right, Finral spoke up. He said that they have a spatial mage. I don't know if he has the same teleportation limitations as me, but if he doesn't, that could put us at a disadvantage. Think about it. If we try to just defeat them all and take Fanzel to the black market, Galio can just teleport away when he sees he's losing. And then he could possibly ambush us on our way to the black market, Gauche finished. The spatial mage nodded. Correct. And if we try to split up, with some people fighting here and some others taking Fanzel to the destination, Galio can just send someone after them, like Mariella. That makes sense. She or someone else most likely found out I was here. They could know where we're going, Fanzel finished this time. Those are all good points, Finral, but those are all the options we have in this situation. Is there something else we can do? Kenos asked. I'm not too sure about that part, Finral replied. Wait, there is something we can do. A voice exclaimed from behind everyone. They all turned around, but their eyes widened once they saw who it came from, a person whom they thought a plan would never come from. Outside the base, Galio and Mariella looked around, scanning their forces. They then looked once more at the Black Bull's base in front of them. One of their mages sent a shot through the window, but there was no retaliation from their enemies. Why haven't they come out yet? Galio asked. He turned to Mariella. You're sure he's here? The girl nodded. Yes, according to my sources, he was seen here a little while ago, she replied. Well, if they're not going to come out, then we're heading in, Galio decided as he looked down at the other mages. Prepare to attack on my signal, he was about to exclaim before another voice shouted out. Water creation magic. Sea Dragon's lair. The voice yelled as a water barrier erupted around the base. What the hell? Galio and Mariella asked aloud in unison. Hey, Diamond Kingdom bastards. Multiple voices exclaimed. The enemy looked up to see Magna, Luck, Gauche, Charmy, and Yami in the air, their grimoires out. Prepare to face the might of the Black Bulls. They exclaimed together as they landed. Fanzel is most likely inside. There's no other reason to create that barrier, Galio muttered to himself as he pointed at the magic knights. Attack. The assassins wasted no time charging towards the black bulls. Take this, you stupid bastards, flame magic, explosive scatter shot. Magna exclaimed as he launched the cascade of fireballs at a horde of mages. The flame mage grinned. Nice, there's no way you're laying a finger on the old man, not while we're here. Luck cheerfully ran over to Magna. Not bad, Magna. Wanna have a competition to see who can take out the most? He asked. What? No way. That's alright. I know you're just scared that you'll lose to me. Lightning creation magic. Holy lightning armaments. The lightning mage exclaimed as he became armed in his signature gloves and boots. He raced towards the enemy. Scared? No way in hell. You get back here. I'll show you who's scared. Magna exclaimed as he ran behind Luck. Hey look. One of the assassins exclaimed, pointing at Charmy. They let some little kid into the magic knights. She's most likely the weakest one here. Let's get her. The cotton mage watched as 3 mages ran toward her, but fear was not present in her eyes, only anger as her grimoire flipped through pages. Now that I'm sure Noelle isn't being assaulted by a pervert, I can unleash my rage. Because of you people, I didn't get to enjoy my late morning breakfast. Cotton creation magic. Army of striking sheep. At her call, 3 medium-sized sheep appeared in front of her. They each zoomed with great speed towards a mage, punching them into either the air, or into the nearby trees. Mirror magic. Reflect refrain. Gauche exclaimed as the mirrors appeared and reflected light as they struck mage after mage. The mirror mage groaned. I don't really care about all of this. I'd rather talk to Marie or look at her angelic picture, but I can't do that while you're all here. 6 mages then surrounded him, their grimoires out. They all let out a scream before firing their spells simultaneously. Mirror magic. Mirror shift. Gauche boredly exclaimed as he evaded the attack, appearing a few feet away from them. The mages were surprised and quickly dissipated the spells that came their way. If you're done, then I'll finish this. Mirror creation magic. Blade of infinite reflections. Gauche exclaimed as 3 mirrors appeared, distancing themselves to form a triangle. One mirror then shot light. It reflected to the second mirror, and then the third mirror. The light kept going until it became a triangular stream of light. In between the triangle, a large purple forearm rose up, holding a large blade. The arm then did a sweeping motion, hitting the 6 mages at once. Yami watched his squad members fighting. He nodded, glad they were holding their own, and kicking ass too. The dark mage then saw assassins approaching him too. You wanna take me on? I'll tell you now, you'd be better off fighting one of them. They didn't stop their advance. Yami sighed as he unsheathed his katana. Alright, it's your funeral, dark magic, dark cloaked lightless blade storm. He exclaimed, firing the multiple slashes of darkness, slightly grinning as each one hit its mark. Galio and Mariella watched from the trees as their allies were being eliminated left and right. The former grit his teeth. Who the hell are these people? Our forces aren't standing a chance. That means it's our turn to get into the fight. I'm not so sure about that. A voice exclaimed from above them. They looked up to see Fanzel in the air, but before either of them could react, the wind mage landed on the branch right beside Galio and turned, quickly putting him in a headlock. Damn it, you traitor. Galio exclaimed as his opponent tightened his lock. Hey there, Galio. Long time no see. Fanzel greeted quite casually despite the circumstances. He looked down at the battle that had ensued. Seems like your assassins are getting beat pretty quickly. You really need to change up your teachings. There's nothing worse than being a commander of a bunch of fodder mages. Mariella took out her grimoire. Ice creation magic. Assassin's dagger. She exclaimed as a small dagger of ice appeared in her hand. She stood ready, facing the red-haired man. Unhand him. Right now, she said in a soft, yet cold tone. Fanzel's tone, however, remained casual as he spoke to the ice mage. It's good to see you too, Mariella. Don't worry, I don't hold anything against you from what happened in Hage, he said with a small smile. Mariella tried to move closer, but as she did, her former master's face grew monotone. I wouldn't do that if I were you, he warned as his grip around the diamond assassin tightened once again. If you move any closer, I just might accidentally snap his neck. The ice mage stopped her advance and put her weapon down. Fanzel lightly grinned, but then noticed Galio struggling. Is something the matter? He asked in a mockingly casual tone. You stupid bastard, you think you've won, haven't you? Galio asked back defiantly. Fanzel shrugged. You're not wrong. The Black Bulls have your assassins practically defeated, and I've successfully put you in a compromising position, ready to take your life if I so choose, so yeah, I think it's safe to say we've won. To the Wind Mage's surprise, Galio merely laughed. You always were a fool. You think you've beaten us, but I still have one trick up my sleeve, one that might genuinely worry you. Fanzel suspiciously raised a brow. And what might that be? Galio evilly grinned. Your wife. Dominant code. Fanzel's confidence fell a bit as he heard those words. What are you talking about? We know where she is. With my spatial magic, I can send anyone after her before you can reach her, Galio replied confidently. Did you really think I'd come here without some form of leverage? If I'm harmed, I don't think I can guarantee her well-being. It was Fanzel's turn to grit his teeth. You bastard. So, how does it feel, Fanzel, to have the tables turned on you so quickly, to have the life of the one you love in another person's hand? I'll make sure you regret turning your back on the Diamond Kingdom, Galio said. Mariella watched her former master, waiting to see how he'd react, but to both her surprise and that of the spatial mage, Fanzel grinned before he started laughing. It started off low, but then became a howl. Galio widened his eyes. What the hell? Your wife's life is in danger and you're laughing. Have you gone mad or something? Fanzel released Galio from his headlock and jumped down to the ground. The wind mage was then surrounded in a small puff of white smoke. As the smoke disappeared, a new figure stood in his place. Galio twisted his neck back and forth to remove the tight feeling he had been subjected to. Meanwhile, Mariella's eyes widened as she looked at the new figure standing where Fanzel had just been. Asta, is that you? I thought you didn't have any magic. That's because I'm not Asta. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Gray, a transformation mage of the Black Bulls. I'm able to look like anyone I wish, Gray said. Galio gasped. Wait a minute, if you were just posing as Fanzel, that means he isn't here. Where is he? Gray crossed his arms. Like I'd ever tell you. Just know that he's far away from here. He then ran towards the base, disappearing inside the water barrier. Galio slammed his fist into the tree trunk. Damn it, he was playing us this entire time. These people were just a diversion. Mariella walked up to him. Unlike the spatial mage, her eyes showed no worry or rage. They might have gotten a head start, but I know where he's going. Make me a portal. All right then. I'm leaving him to you, Galio said as he created a red portal a few inches away from them. Mariella jumped inside. Fanzel, you won't escape us this time, the spatial mage thought. While the fighting was going on at the base, in the town of Kika, a group was running through the crowd. The group consisted of Asta, Kenos, Fanzel, Finral, and Vanessa. All right, make a turn over there. That's where the entrance to the black market is. Vanessa instructed as they did so. Soon looking at the entrance, they wasted no time, however, as they immediately entered and kept on running. Fanzel looked at the others accompanying him. Are you sure your squadmates will be okay back there? The assassins are tough. Don't worry, old man Zell. The Black Bulls are way tougher than any groups of assassins. They'll be just fine, Asta replied confidently. I'm actually more surprised that the plan worked. Kenos nodded. I know. I'm even more surprised at the person who made the plan, he said as he thought back. Flashback. A few minutes ago. Black Bull's hideout. Wait, there is something we could do. A voice exclaimed from behind them. They all turned around, but their eyes widened once they saw who it came from, a person whom they thought a plan would never come from. Charmy. You have a plan, Charmy? Asta asked. What are you talking about, Asta? I'm over here, another voice said. They all turned around and saw Charmy. Wait a minute, since when did we have two Charmies? Kenos asked. The first Charmy raised her hand. We don't. I'm not the real Charmy, it's me, Gray. Gray. The solar mage exclaimed. But how? My magical attribute is transformation. It allows me to shapeshift into whoever I want. I just chose to look like Charmy, Gray explained. Kenos nodded. Okay then. You said there's something we could do. Lay it on us. If all the options that Finral stated can't be done, we'll have to make our own option, Gray replied. He walked forward. I like the part where some of us stay here while the rest of us take Fanzel to the black market. Magna stepped forward. But didn't you hear what Finral said? If we do that, the spatial bastard from the Diamond Kingdom will just send someone after us. Gray nodded. True, but that's where my plan will come into effect. Here's how it's going to go down, he said, pointing to the water mage. Noel, you'll create a water barrier around the base. At that time, Finral, you'll take Fanzel and Vanessa along with any number of us with you to Kika and make your way to the black market. Wait, if they're going to be leaving, why do I need to use Sea Dragon's lair? The hideout has taken damage before, won't it just fix itself? Noel asked. That's just to maintain a front. If they see we're protecting this place, they'll most likely believe that Fanzel is still here and is just hiding inside, Gray replied. That's not a bad plan, but what if Galio finds out that we're tricking him? We can't be too careful. Fanzel asked. To make sure that doesn't happen, that's where I'll come in. I'll use my transformation magic to pose as you and confront Galio myself. That way, he won't even think that you left, because seemingly, you didn't, Gray responded. Wow, I'm impressed, Gray. I didn't think you could come up with a plan like that. We should really include you when we make strategies from here on out, Kenos said. The transformation shyly shook his head. Oh no, I'm no strategist, it just seemed like a plan that made sense given the situation we were in. I'm not really one who likes to talk a lot. But that doesn't change the fact that we're impressed, Yami slightly grinned. Okay. This plan sounds foolproof, so who else am I taking with me? Finral asked. The solar mage quickly raised a hand. Asta and I will go too. Noelle will have to stay here to cast her spell, and except for Vanessa, Asta and I are the only ones here who've been to the black market before. We'll have a better chance navigating our way around than the rest of you. All right then. I have no opposition to you going. That means the rest of us are going to stay here and kick some diamond ass. Yami exclaimed. Nice. I get to stay here and fight. Luck added with a cheerful grin. All right then. We all know where we're going. Are you ready? Asta asked. Yes. End flashback. I still can't believe that Gray is a transformation mage, and that he was willing to help us, especially since he's so antisocial, Keno said, happy that he was getting to know more about the two members of the squad that spoke the least. I know. I was totally surprised as well, Asta agreed. The group then came to a stop. Vanessa spoke up. All right everyone. Something to know about the black market is that merchants won't always be in the same spot, so let's split up and look for code. Fanzel and Finral, you're with me. Okay. Asta, Kenos, take these communication devices. If you find code, contact us and give us an idea of what the area around you looks like, Finral said. Kenos grabbed the device. Thanks. Okay everybody. Good luck, he said. They nodded as they broke off into 3 groups. Excuse me, do you know where I could find a merchant named Code? I've heard of her, but I don't know where she is. The merchant, Code, have you seen her anywhere around here? Nope, but if you're interested, I have some stuff here that you might like. I'm looking for Code. I stopped by her stand some time ago, but I don't know where she is now, do you? Not a clue. Her stand changes from place to place just like the rest of us. Everyone was searching through the black market, but nobody was succeeding. The solar mage sighed in partial defeat as he walked by another stand, but didn't bother asking at the time. Is something the matter, Magic Knight? A female voice asked. Kenos turned to see a woman of good height behind a stand. She wore a cloak, the hood of it covering everything but her mouth, but she sounded pretty young. Kenos walked over to the stand. No, I'm just having some trouble finding someone. Oh, who exactly are you looking for? The merchant asked. I'm looking for a merchant named Code, Kenos answered. Code, she's well known here in the black market. Is there an item you want from her? The woman asked again. The solar mage shook his head. No, I'm looking for her for somebody else, someone she's supposed to know. I see, are others with you searching for her as well? She asked as Kenos nodded. That's right. Okay then. Tell you what, why don't you call this person here? I know where Code is, but I'd like to tell you all at once, she said. Kenos' eyes brightened. Really? That'd be great, he said, taking out his device. Hey, does anybody read me? We hear you, Vanessa replied. Same here, Asta added. Great. I found a merchant who knows where Code is. Tell Fanzel, Kenos said, not noticing a slight reaction from the woman behind him. I'm on the west end of the black market. Okay. We'll meet you there, Vanessa said as the transmission ended. 10 minutes passed before the others arrived. Kenos waved. I'm over here. They ran up to him. So where's the merchant who knows where Code is? Asta asked. Kenos nodded. Yes, she's over here. He pointed to the woman. Finral walked up to her. So, where's Code? Vanessa and Fanzel, however, widened their eyes. Wait a minute, they both thought. The female merchant grinned as she jumped out of her stand. Where's Code you say? She began before pulling her cloak off, revealing a young woman with orange hair tied in a ponytail. She wore a medium-sized violet dress. Well, she's right here. Dominant Code at your service. Domina, it's you. Fanzel exclaimed as he ran up and hugged her, happy to find his beloved wife. Zell, I missed you too. She exclaimed as well as she returned the hug. They then released. But what's the? Fanzel was about to ask before he was met with a barrage of punches. What the hell took you so long to find me? It's been almost a year, damn it. Domina exclaimed. The others' sweat dropped as they looked at the pair. Ya know, she almost reminds me of Oksana. Her personality can shift from one to another pretty fast, Kenos stated. Sorry, the Diamond Kingdom was hot on my trail, but luckily, I had some help from the Black Bulls, Fanzel explained. Domina turned to the Magic Knights present. Thank you very much for helping Zell. Asta gave her a thumbs up. No problem. Great, Finral, let's head back to the hideout and see if anyone needs help. Asta and Kenos, you stay with these two, Vanessa instructed. On it, Finral obeyed as he made a portal before he and the Thread Mage then jumped into it. Alright then, what do we do now? This mission has been accomplished. Asta asked. I wouldn't say that just yet. The group heard a voice and turned to see Mariella, an ice dagger in her hand. I knew you'd come here, but I wasn't expecting what you people did back at your base, the ice mage spoke. Get behind me, Domina, Fanzel said as he stepped up, his grimoire out. Don't do this, Mariella. I don't want to fight you, but I will if I must. To everyone's surprise, however, Mariella made the dagger disappear and boldly put her hands into the air. Don't worry, I'm not here to fight either, I came here to help you escape. And why should we trust you? Kenos asked suspiciously. Because Fanzel was my master. He taught me how I should use my skills. I only became an assassin and killed people because I was afraid of dying myself. The Diamond Kingdom doesn't do kindly with people who can't be ruthless. So I saw this as my chance to escape that life, and I'm willing to take it, she explained. Kenos raised a brow. I don't know, this could be some sort of trick. I say we don't, he was going to say before the swordsman rested a hand on his shoulder. No, she's telling the truth. I can feel her ki, it's genuine, Asta said. The solar mage sighed. All right, if you say so. Mariella gave a small smile as she put her hands down. Now, let's get you two out of here. Yeah, that's not happening. Mariella's eyes widened in shock since she recognized that voice. She and the others turned to see Galio. Galio, what are you doing here? Mariella asked with a bit of a frantic tone. I tracked the location I sent you to and decided to come here myself to see if you got the job done, but it seems that I just walked in on another traitor, prepare to die. Galio exclaimed as his grimoire came out. Spatial creation magic. An opening red room. At his call, he slammed his hands on the ground, sending a red trail in Mariella's direction. Look out! Asta and Fanzel exclaimed as they jumped in front of the girl, but it didn't succeed in protecting her as all three were suddenly transported. What did you do to them? Kenos exclaimed. I sent them into my unopening red room, a dimension ruled by me, they can't escape until I'm defeated. As that's so, Kenos said as his grimoire came out in front of him. Then I'll just have to beat you. Wait a minute, I think I can help, Domina said as she quickly ran to her stand, bending over and grabbing something out. It was her grimoire, solid purple with intricate dark violet linings, and a three-leaf clover in the middle. It was surrounded by a purple aura as it floated up. Now I'm ready. It doesn't matter how ready you are, you're dead. Galio exclaimed as he launched a cascade of red spatial orbs. That's nothing. Solar creation magic, Kenos was about to say, before another voice spoke up. Leave this one to me, vortex magic, whirlwind guardian. Domina exclaimed as a cylindrical whirlwind appeared around her and Kenos, completely blocking the attack. The solar mage looked at her with surprise. Vortex magic. That's right, it's an attribute almost fully dedicated to defense, helps when merchants decide to get violent around here, Domina replied. Say, what's your name? Kenos Rossiu. Nice to meet you, Kenos. If we want to get Zell and the others out of his spell, we have to beat him, so let's work together. I cover defense, and you cover offense, that work? She asked. Kenos grinned. No complaints here, let's do this. Meanwhile, in the red room, Asta, Fanzel, and Mariella looked around, seeing nothing but red walls. Damn, I didn't think he'd pull this spell on us. Kenos and Domina are going to have to beat him on the outside if we want to escape, Fanzel stated. But then, on the other side of the room, a red mass came from the floor, rising up to become an army of red figures, each holding a weapon. Holy crap, what are those? Asta asked. Those are crevice men, a spell that exists within the room that creates figures, Fanzel replied as he searched into his coat, pulling out a sword handle, but with no blade on it. His grimoire then flipped to a page. Wind creation magic. Emperor of slashing winds. Wind gathered, becoming the blade of the sword. You ready for this, Asta? The swordsman nodded before he pulled out both of his swords. You know it, Mariella, stay behind us. What? No way, I was Fanzel's student too, I can fight, ice creation magic, assassin's dagger. She exclaimed as her dagger appeared. Okay then let's take these guys down. Solar magic. Sunbeam ray. Kenos exclaimed as he fired the spell. Futile, Galio mocked as he quickly jumped into a portal, evading the attack. He appeared on another side and fired orbs. Oh no you don't, Domina exclaimed as she ran up to Kenos and created another whirlwind to defend him. Damn it, that magic of hers is really hard to get around, but it must have a weakness. That's it, Galio thought as he jumped into another portal, this time appearing above the two. Let's see how well that vortex of yours does against aerial attacks. Galio exclaimed as he fired more orbs. True, Whirlwind Guardian isn't really good against aerial attacks, but all that means is that I need a new spell, Domina stated as her grimoire flipped to a page. Vortex creation magic. Encompassing barrier. At her call, the whirlwind disappeared and two barriers appeared in its place, blocking the orbs. Galio grit his teeth. Again, he exclaimed as he prepared to enter a portal. Oh no, you're not getting away. I'll finish this fight as quickly as possible. Solar binding magic. Sunbound shackles. Kenos exclaimed as Galeo's hands and feet became shackled, he then fell to the ground. This won't stop me, I'll just make a portal below me, the spatial mage said. Don't think so, Dominant, thrust him up. Kenos called. On it, Domina replied, using her basic attack to propel him into the air. I'll finish this, solar creation magic. Solar construct, gauntlet. Kenos exclaimed as he equipped the weapon and hopped onto Domina's vortex, sending him into the air. This fight is over. The solar mage exclaimed as he punched Galio dead in the face, launching him to the ground. Nice shot. Domina called as she gave Kenos a thumbs up, the solar mage returned it as he landed. Wind creation magic. Emperor of slashing winds, winter wind. Fanzel exclaimed as he fired a barrage of wind sword constructs at a horde of crevice men. Take this. Asta exclaimed as he jumped into the air, crashing down on 2 crevice men, using his swords to cut them in half. How are things on your end, Mariella? I'm doing just fine. No need to worry, she replied as she used her dagger to launch quick and concise attacks on the enemy. Great job you two. Fanzel congratulated as he cut through more crevice men, but just then, the spatial figures dropped their weapons and fell to the ground, becoming the red mass again. What's going on? Asta asked. Kenos and Domina must have beaten Galio. The spell is collapsing, Fanzel replied as they were suddenly teleported back. They immediately looked around and saw Galio, unconscious on the ground. You're back, Domina exclaimed as she ran up and hugged Fanzel and Mariella. Meanwhile, the swordsman walked up to the solar mage, the two high-fived. You did well, I don't think we were even in there for 10 minutes. Thanks, but Dominant was a big help, her magic was awesome, Kenos said back as he walked to the 3. I think it's safe to head back to our base, the other assassins most likely have been taken care of. Yeah, we can do that, Fanzel replied. Just wait, there's something I need to do, Domina said as she took out a remote-like item and pushed a button on it, her stand and all of its contents transformed into light before shooting into the remote. Now we can go. Kenos smiled. Great, then I'll contact Finral, he said as he took out his communication device and called the spatial mage. A portal appeared almost immediately. Asta went over and picked up Galeo's unconscious body as they walked through, appearing at the base. Everyone was outside, and as Kenos expected, all the assassins were unconscious. Hey there, we're back, and we found her. Asta exclaimed as he put Galeo's body with the others. So Captain, what do we do with these guys? Ghosh asked. We're going to call the capital and have some mages take them, but if they ask why Diamond Kingdom mages are here, don't tell them we were helping refugees, we can just tell them that the Diamond Kingdom tried to attack the Clover Kingdom and decided to come this way since we're close to the border between the kingdoms, Yami replied. And we'll just say we beat them before they could move in, Ghosh said as the Dark Mage nodded. The group of 5 walked over to the other Black Bulls. Yami spoke up again as he looked at the new face among them. I take it you're Dominant Code. She nodded and bowed respectively. That's right, I want to thank you so much for helping us. No problem, we don't mind, he said before noticing Mariella beside her. He quickly drew his katana. And what is she doing here? Fanzel moved quickly in between them. Don't worry, she's with me. Yami looked at the Wind Mage before sheathing his weapon. If you say so, but the capital mages will be here soon, I'd get moving if I were you. Fanzel smiled. Right. Hey, Asta. The magicless mage approached his former master. Yeah. Thanks again. I would have never gotten to reunite with Domina if it wasn't for you and the others. He then pulled something out of his coat pocket. Domina, Mariella, and I will retreat to a house I have near the outskirts of the Clover Kingdom. Here's a map of our location. Thanks, Asta said as he took the map. I really owe you one. If you or any other of the Black Bulls ever need help, you know where we are, Fanzel said with a smile. Asta smiled too as the two bumped arms. You bet. Take care, Fanzel. Same to you, Fanzel said back as he and the other two backed up. His grimoire then came out. Wind creation magic. Emperor of slashing winds, hovering swords. He exclaimed as 3 wind swords appeared. The 3 stepped onto the swords as they flew into the air. Bye, they exclaimed as they waved. The other Black Bulls waved back, all with smiles on their faces, but none were happier than Asta, who was glad he could help an old friend. Chapter 31. Light of the Moon. Hey readers, just a quick message. I'd like to thank guest DCD Gojira and Sherry Muhammad for reviewing nearly every one of my chapters. Whether it's short or long, it never fails to brighten my day, so thank you once again. Now on to the newest chapter. CYA. Well, better get ready, I got quite a lot to do today. The sun rose over the Rossiu household as a new day came. A warm breeze passed through the kingdom, rustling the leaves of bushes and trees. A ray of sunlight shined into Sylvester's room. The lunar mage was already up, standing a few inches away from his bed. A smile was on his face as he stretched. That wasn't a bad night. He grabbed his towel and exited his room, heading to the bathroom. 10 minutes passed before he returned. He dried himself off before putting on his light blue collared shirt and black pants. Oh, can't forget these, he continued as he put on his satchel and placed his grimoire into it. He then walked over to a small desk and took the violet wyvern pendant before putting it around his neck. Now I'm ready, he said as he walked out of his room and began sprinting through the hallway. He soon arrived in front of a large, familiar door. He caught his breath before knocking. Come in, a voice said. Sylvester opened the door. A smile was on his face as he saw two people. Good morning, Uncle Richard, Aunt Ellen, he greeted. Ellen smiled too. And a good morning to you too, Sylvester, you're up early. He's up early every day, especially with the responsibilities he has, Richard added with a small grin. You know me, I'd better get moving, Sylvester said as he closed the door and kept on running. He saw Eleanor in the distance. Good morning, Eleanor, Sylvester called before he passed the head maid. Morning, you sure are in a hurry, young Sir Sylvester, Eleanor said back, but the lunar mage was out of earshot. I better get my broom and head out, Sylvester said as he arrived at the entrance to the household. He turned to see his broom leaning against the wall. He walked over and grabbed it, preparing to mount it. Sylvester. A voice called from behind him. He turned around and saw a boy with dark brown hair. He wore a gray long-sleeved shirt with khaki pants. Beside him was a taller girl with long dark brown hair. She wore a short-sleeved red shirt with khaki shorts. Sylvester slightly smiled as he walked to the two children. Good morning, Nathan. Sonia, is something the matter? He asked. Are you heading out again? Nathan asked back. The lunar mage ruffled his hair. That's right, I head out every single day. Have the servants given you breakfast yet? Sonia nodded. Yeah, we have, but it's been hard getting used to living here. It hasn't even been a week before Nathan brought me here. True, I'm not used to living the life of a noble, but I'm grateful to be here, Nathan added. Sylvester knelt down to their level. Well, it's like you told me, you have my cousin Kenos to thank. The lunar mage remembered the first time he met the two siblings. He had been training close by to the entrance of the household when he felt 2 weak signatures of mana. He went over to the entrance and saw the two there. With torn up clothes and dirty faces, Nathan told him that Kenos had sent them there and recited the keyword to the Rossiu. Sylvester smiled. Glad his cousin was helping kids in need, he welcomed them in without a second thought. Not a person there had a problem with their presence despite the fact that they were commoners. Sylvester, have you had breakfast? Sonia asked. Not yet. But that's all right, I usually get something to eat when I go out, Sylvester replied as he mounted his broom. Make sure the two of you help Eleanor with the chores, I'll be back, CYA, he said before soaring into the sky. 15 minutes passed before he landed somewhere around the capital. Dismounting from his broom, he began walking around, passing by an array of different stands selling different kinds of things, food, clothes, jewelry. As the lunar mage walked past a certain stand selling fabrics, a young lady raised her hand and waved. She had long blonde hair tied in a bun. She wore a long-sleeved navy blue shirt with the sleeves rolled up to her elbows. Hey Sylvester, thanks for coming. No problem, he said as he walked back and entered her stand, leaning his broom against the wall behind him. How's the business going today, Marilyn? It's going great. I have to thank you for your help yesterday. You really did me a big favor, Marilyn replied. It was nothing. You were sick yesterday, so I just took over, Sylvester said humbly as he handed some fabric to a customer. You took over for nearly the whole day. You even brought in more customers than usual. I suppose that's the perk of being a Rossiu, the lady said. I guess it was a pretty big deal, but I'm just glad I was able to help, the navy blue-haired teen said. Half an hour passed as Sylvester and Marilyn continued selling products and chatting with each other. Sylvester took his broom and walked out of the stand. Gotta go. Marilyn, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye Sylvester. Marilyn called back. The lunar mage continued walking. As he did, nearly every merchant waved and greeted him. Soon, however, he noticed a rather large stand without any customers by it. Behind the stand was an old lady holding a clipboard-like object, and an assortment of boxes. Sylvester entered the stand and placed his broom aside before turning to the old lady. Hello Ms. Ronet, I see you're doing the daily count of inventory. The lady spoke up to reply, but she didn't turn her face away from the boxes. It's a very important job, Sylvester. When your business is merely supplying other businesses with the products they sell, you must make sure you don't miss anything. I know, so what's the first delivery? Sylvester asked. Ms. Ronet pointed to 2 boxes. That box of jewelry goes to Zeke's stand, and the other box of clothes will go to Marilyn's stand. Oh, I just came here from Marilyn's stand. Don't worry, I'm on it, he said as he picked up the 2 boxes. The old lady turned to face him this time, and a warm smile was on her face. Thank you. I'm grateful that you can help me bring these supplies around every day, she said. Sylvester smiled too. Of course, you're an old lady. You shouldn't be carrying heaving boxes around. Leave that to me. Now, I'd better go and deliver these. I have others to do after this. The lunar mage carefully walked out of the stand and started making his way towards Marilyn's stand. A few minutes passed before her stand was in sight. The girl noticed him walking towards her. Sylvester, you're back already. Got a delivery for you, from Ms. Ronet, Sylvester explained. Top box. Marilyn took the box and opened it, revealing an assortment of different clothes, all made of different fabrics. Nice. I can always count on Layla for good products. She might be old, but she's still got it, she said before walking to the counter and grabbing some money, placing it in the boy's pocket. There, I gave my pay. Who's the other box for? It's for Zeke. The woman smiled. Cool. Say hi to him for me. Will do, Sylvester replied as he left her stand. He walked up north for about 5 minutes before he heard a familiar voice to his right. Excellent choice. You won't regret buying that pendant. It's beautiful, not to mention it really brings out your eyes, the voice said. It was a young male's. He had medium-sized red hair, wore a short-sleeved green shirt, and was standing behind the stand, talking with a female customer. The customer smiled. How nice. Thank you very much, she said as she turned around to leave. Sylvester walked towards the stand, passing by the customer as he looked at the man. The man saw the lunar mage and waved. Hey there, Sylvester, he greeted. How's it going, Zeke? Sylvester asked as he walked from behind into the stand. Zeke shrugged. Just fine, he said before noticing the box in the teen's hand. Let me guess, that box is from Layla. He nodded. You bet, here you go, he handed the box over. Oh, and Marilyn wanted me to say hi. Thanks, Zeke said before he slung his arm over Sylvester's shoulder. Say, when was the last time we went out for a drink? I don't remember, Sylvester replied as he put his hand on his chin. But regardless, I'm going to be busy. Come on, Sylvester, Zeke persisted. We can even go to a mixer. I really need to get you a girlfriend. You're so kind and helpful, not to mention you're a Rossiu. I don't know what girl wouldn't want you. Sylvester escaped from his friend's grip. You know I'm not looking for a relationship. Besides, even if I was, I wouldn't want to be with someone who only sees my status. Zeke moved closer and began whispering. Then why don't you set your sights on Marilyn? Marilyn. Yeah, you've helped nearly every merchant here at one point, but the ones you're friends with are around your age are Marilyn, and myself, Zeke replied as he slightly grinned. She looks less at your status and more at who you are. After all, you did take over for her yesterday of your own volition, without asking for anything in return. The lunar mage turned around. No way. Marilyn's 4 years older than me. It's not that I'm not into older women, but I don't see her like that. Why don't you go after her instead? Zeke carelessly waved a hand. Nah, I already tried one time, but she shot me down pretty fast. It was some time ago, but I guess I can see why. A relationship between two merchants of different crafts might not be the best for business. I see. Well, I'd better go. Got your pay from Ms. Ronet? Sylvester asked. Zeke took out some money from his pocket and gave it to the navy blue-haired teen. Here you go. Sylvester nodded as he walked out of the stand, heading back to Layla's stand. Hours passed by as he took boxes to different stands, collecting money from each one and engaging in a quick conversation with them. It was around noon when he returned to Layla's stand. Thank you so much, Sylvester, she said. No problem. Here's the money from each of them, Sylvester said as he took out all the money from his pocket and put it on a counter. Not a bad haul, Layla remarked as she walked over, quickly counting the money. She then turned to the lunar mage. Her face showed some nervousness. Sylvester, are you sure you don't want any of the money? You delivered them. Sylvester slightly smiled as he gently waved his hand in a denying manner. Please, Ms. Ronet, you don't have to split anything. I'm a noble. I don't need money. I just want to help. Bless you, Layla said gratefully before pointing to the last box on the ground. That's the last delivery of the day. It's sugar for Mr. Alden. Don't worry about the money. He already paid in advance. Okay, Sylvester said as he picked up the box and broom before exiting the stand. He turned and began walking down south. 10 minutes passed before the stand was visible. Behind the stand was a man wearing a basic gray attire. His hair was short and gray. The lunar mage walked into the stand, catching the man's attention. Hello, Mr. Alden. I have some sugar for you from Ms. Ronet. Mr. Alden happily smiled before it became a bit more stern. Thank you, Sylvester, but I thought I said that you didn't have to call me Mr. Alden. I'd rather you call me by my first name. My bad. I have the sugar for you, Hans, Sylvester repeated. Hans smiled. That's better. So how's your day been? I take it you've been busy helping Layla and some other merchants. The lunar mage nodded as he placed the box on a counter. That's right, but my day won't be done after this. Hans laughed. I imagined that would be the case, he said before something else came to his head. He looked at the lunar mage as his face grew serious. Sylvester, do you mind if I ask you a question? Of course, ask away. You're a noble, hailing from the great Rossiu house, and I've seen you fight. You're a powerful mage too. I wonder, wouldn't you rather want to be a magic knight than helping all of us? Hans asked. I know a girl who I used to care for years ago, and now she's a member of the Golden Dawn. You're young, and have so much potential. Wouldn't you want to join a group that will help that potential grow? I don't think any of us would mind. Sylvester sighed as he turned to the old man. Listen, Hans, you have a good point about the potential, but I don't want to be a magic knight. There are other ways to help the kingdom, ways that being a magic knight won't permit. I wouldn't be able to help around here anymore because I'd be busy on missions or patrols. I bet this girl you're talking about has enjoyed her time as a part of the Magic Knights, but that's not what I want to do. Hans turned away. I see. Sorry if it was a personal question. Sylvester shook his head. Don't worry about it. I don't mind. I've been asked that question before, and look on the bright side, at least you know that nothing will make me leave you all. The old man turned back. A smile was on his face. Good to know, he said before walking to the grill, taking a large metal skewer with 6 pieces of meat connected to it. Here, as a way to thank you since you don't accept money. Sylvester grabbed his stomach. He hadn't realized that he forgot to stop by a previous stand for food. He took the skewer gratefully. Thank you, he said before helping himself, finishing it in a matter of minutes. Hans chuckled. Wow, you must have been hungry. He walked over and grabbed something else. It was a white puffy substance on a wooden skewer. And here's an afternoon dessert. Sylvester's eyes brightened almost in a childlike manner once he saw what was in front of him, grabbing it. Cotton candy. Nice, your stand is the only one here that sells this. I imagine it must be great for business, he remarked, biting into the puffy cloud of sweetness. You got that right, which is why I need daily deliveries of sugar from Layla, Hans said. The lunar mage finished his dessert and grabbed his broom. I'm off, see you tomorrow, Hans, he said before leaving. The old man waved back before getting to work. Sylvester continued to walk down south. He had finished his work in the merchant district for the day, and as he kept going down, he eventually noticed some kids standing together. In total, there were 6 of them, 3 boys, and 3 girls. Their clothes weren't of the greatest quality, signifying that they were commoners, but that didn't stop a smile from growing on Sylvester's face as he approached them. Hello there, children. I'm glad to see you're here on time again, he greeted, his smile not fading. The children all had smiles on their faces too as they cheerfully looked at the navy blue-haired teen. Yay, Mr. Sylvester's here. Sylvester patted the heads of each of them one at a time. These children were his students, and he was their teacher. He thought back to when he first met them. It was about a week ago. He was delivering a box for Layla when 2 of them bumped into him. As they apologized, he asked what they were doing. They replied saying they were playing a game with their friends. They would run away, and their friends would try to use their magic to catch them. The lunar mage was slightly intrigued and told the kids to wait for him. After delivering the last box, he returned to see all 6 of them. He asked the chasers to demonstrate their magic. All of the kids' ages ranged from 10 to 12, so they already had a grasp on their attributes. Sylvester watched as they did so. They weren't bad, but they could be better, and he felt that he could do something about it. Hey, would you like it if I became your teacher? He remembered asking them. They were skeptical of the teen in front of them. He didn't look very strong. However, after bringing them to his home and demonstrating his striking moongazer, they agreed immediately, so he held classes for them every day. All right, you know what to do, Sylvester instructed as his students nodded and into a single file line. The lunar mage told them to do this since their first day in order to make sure they didn't get lost in the crowd. Good, now let's make our way to my house. And we're here, Sylvester said as they all arrived at the entrance to the Rossiu household. The kids looked at the building in awe. They had been there a good amount of times, but they still couldn't help but feel amazed at what was in front of them. They excitedly ran in. Sylvester counted them to make sure all 6 were present. None of them had ever gotten lost before, but he counted each time just in case. Okay everyone, you know where to go. Straight to the courtyard, their instructor said. They all made their way there in a matter of minutes. Upon stepping on the green grass, they lined up horizontally. Sylvester then walked up to them. Good, you're all. Oh wait, not all of you. We still have to wait for 2 more people, the lunar mage said with a small grin. Sylvester. 2 voices exclaimed. None were surprised though as they turned to see Nathan and Sonia. Eleanor had a few more chores for us to do. We're not late, are we? Nathan explained before asking. No, you're just in time. Come join the rest of the students, Sylvester told them. He had already begun teaching the kids before he met the 2 siblings. One day they were walking around and stumbled onto the rest of them during class. Sylvester noticed them and asked if they would like to become his students too, and they agreed. Nathan and Sonia lined up with the rest. getting smiles from the other students. They all then straightened themselves as Sylvester spoke up. Before we begin class, please recite our motto, he instructed. The children wasted no time replying. It doesn't matter where you're born, if you work hard enough, you could be whatever you want in this world. The lunar mage nodded. Yes, always remember that. You can do whatever you desire. You can become whatever you desire. Whether that be to start a business, or become a magic knight, don't let others tell you what you should do with your life. Just make sure that whatever it is, you're strong enough to keep those close to you safe. Yes, they said back in unison as Sylvester began class. Okay, let's begin with some warm-up exercises. Magic isn't everything in becoming a strong mage. You have to work your body too, Sylvester said, practically drilling that idea into their heads every day. They did an assortment of exercise, from push-ups to jogging in place, to synchronized sit-ups, all the while joining them to train his own body, but more importantly, to act as an example for his students. Nice, now let's sit down. Get comfortable, he continued as they all sat down. We're going to close our eyes and take deep breaths. This will bring your hearts back to their normal speed, but more importantly, it will give you a chance to feel the mana that's around you, that's around nature itself. Focus on it, and let your mind come to a state of ease. They all obeyed. Closing their eyes, they took deep breaths and felt the mana. At the same time, they could feel themselves calming down. 10 minutes passed before Sylvester spoke up again. Now you can open your eyes, he said as they did so. All of them stretched, feeling greatly relaxed for some reason, almost to the point where they were tired. Damn, I have to try pretty hard not to fall asleep, Sonia commented. The others nodded. True, but that just means your mind is at ease, Sylvester said. Now, it's time for your favorite part of class, sparring. The class cheered. They always looked forward to the time in class where they could spar with each other, getting a chance to see how their magic worked against others in a fight. The part they liked even more was when the lunar instructor walked around, congratulating them and giving them pointers as to how to master their magic. Sylvester smiled. I'm glad to see your enthusiasm. You may not have your grimoires yet, and even when you do get them, you must know how to fight with your magic at its most basic form. Now pair up. They all did so, forming 4 groups that were spread out throughout the courtyard. The lunar mage nodded. Good, now begin. At his call, they all started firing their basic attribute attacks at their opponent, who in return either blocked or deflected it before releasing their own attack. Sylvester had his hands behind his back in a professional manner as he walked around the groups, noted their performance. A smile creased his face. He remembered from their very first class when the sparring started, each kid was just flinging an attack at their opponent, completely disregarding defense, evasion, or thinking ahead, just aimless offense. But now, they were truly starting to learn the good of using magic in different ways. While Sylvester was on the other side of the courtyard, Nathan and Sonia sparred with each other. From the looks of it, they both used earth magic, which they inherited from their father. Their fight included using said magic for offense before quickly changing to defense. Take this, Nathan exclaimed as he launched a boulder at his sister. Sonia responded with a wall of earth before running to the side, simultaneously launching a cascade of boulders at her brother. Not bad, but let's see how you handle this. Nathan quickly jumped out of the way, evading as many as he could, but one boulder managed to hit him dead in the stomach. That didn't stop him, however, as he got right back up. Impressive work, you two, a voice said. Nathan turned to see Eleanor standing not too far from them. The head maid walked over to the siblings. Sonia ran to her. Is there something you need? She asked. Eleanor shook her head. Oh no, I just came to see how everyone is doing. We're doing just fine, Nathan said confidently. That's good, and a piece of advice from one earth mage to another. You're doing good when it comes to offense and defense, but remember, you can also use your magic for support. When you eventually obtain your grimoires, remember to learn a few spells in that category. Trust me, it will do wonders, she told them. Wow, I never really thought of using our magic for support. I should tell Sylvester. Maybe he could add it to our class, Sonia said. Eleanor, you're an earth mage, right? Nathan asked, to which she nodded. Do you mind if I ask you a question? By all means, go ahead. Well, how good is earth against other attributes, say, fire? The boy asked. Eleanor thought a bit before responding. It's quite good, if you only count attributes. An earth mage has a good chance of beating a flame mage. Is there a reason why you wanted to know how it combated fire in particular? Nathan smiled and shook his head. No, I was just wondering. Thank you, he replied as Eleanor smiled and left. The boy's face then darkened a little as he thought to himself. An advantage good, if I ever run into Levi again, I'm going to make him pay for burning Dad's grave, and hurting Keno's and Zuka, so I have to get stronger, as strong as I can become without a grimoire. Sylvester gave tips to the other students as they continued sparring. Around 45 minutes passed before the lunar mage raised a hand. Okay everyone, That's it for sparring. Let's take a break for an hour, then we'll begin again. He called as they all stopped and caught their breath. Everybody! Eleanor exclaimed from the hall. Everyone turned to see that the head maid was holding 2 wooden baskets. I brought lunch for you all. There's a spot not too far from here to clean up. Thank you, Eleanor. They all exclaimed as they went over to the spot and washed their hands before returning to the courtyard. The kids grabbed their food and sat down on the grass as they ate, but Sylvester walked up to the hall where the maid was. Here, something to drink, Eleanor said as she poured a cup of water, handing it to the lunar mage. Sylvester gratefully took it. Thank you. He gulped it all down. Ah, that hits the spot. Oh, and I might need your help. I was thinking of, he was beginning to say, before footsteps were heard from the other side of the hallway. The two turned to see someone walking towards them. It was a beautiful young lady of a height around 5 feet 11. She had flowing navy blue hair. She wore a lovely black dress with a white 3-leaf clover on the chest of it. Around her neck was a violet pendant with the silhouette of a wyvern roaring into the sky, and her face was completely nonchalant. Eleanor turned to the lady and curtsied. Greetings, Lady Raina, she said respectfully. The woman named Raina did the same. Hello to you too, Eleanor, she greeted back before her nonchalant face contorted into a small smile. How have you been? I've been just fine, the head maid replied. Eleanor, can you come help me with this? One of the students exclaimed. I'm coming, she called back before curtsying to Raina again. If you'll excuse me, she walked over to the children. Sylvester looked at the woman, she looked right back at him, both of their violet eyes peering at the other. The lunar mage then gave a small smile. Hello mother, he greeted. It's good to see you. Raina slightly nodded as her face grew nonchalant again. The same to you, my son. Sylvester felt awkward. His mother wasn't one to talk much. She was the direct contrast to his father, who was incredibly lively, but wasn't around the house much due to having business outside the capital. So, is there anything you need? Raina looked at him before focusing her gaze on the children on the grass. I see you're still teaching those children. Sylvester nodded. That's right. They're really starting to progress. If it's possible, I'll try enlisting more kids. Children are the future of our kingdom. As a noble, I feel like it's my duty to put them on the right path. The night mage focused back on her son. On the right path, you say. How ironic, seeing that you're not on the right path. If you were, you would have been a high-ranking magic knight by now. Mother, Sylvester groaned. He feared she would say that, before Hans mentioned it, and before Zuka mentioned it. The first person who told Sylvester to be a magic knight was his mother, and it only increased when it was revealed that he had a 4-leaf grimoire. You're a Rossiu, with a 4-leaf clover grimoire. You have so much potential, yet you waste it by not joining a squad. Look at your father and I, along with your aunt and uncle. We were all members of the Grey Deer. It's because of that Ellen and I fell in love with Richard and your father, Marcus, and through that married into the Rossiu family and established a relationship with Julius, Raina said. But it's not just relationships. Being a magic knight is important for influence. Being just a noble isn't enough in this kingdom, and what's a noble without influence? Sylvester sighed. Mother, that's all important, but it was important to you. I might not have as much influence as high-ranking magic knights, but I don't want it. I like everything I'm doing. I like the people I've met. Marilyn, Zeke, Ms. Ronet, Hans. I like helping them every day. And these students, I like teaching them and giving them a brighter future to look forward to. Why can't I just do what I want? Raina said nothing as she turned around and walked away. Once she was a good distance from him, she spoke up. How strange. You are my son, of my own flesh and blood, but despite that, I don't understand you. The hour passed and class began again. Sylvester had Eleanor make 8 thick slabs of earth. The students would then try to use their magic to break it. It took them each around 20 minutes to do so, but it had left them quite drained as their magic was simple, not complex enough to deal much damage. All right everyone, that's it for the day, Sylvester said as they all stretched. Oh, and Sonia, thanks for the request about using magic to support one another. We'll begin implementing that into class tomorrow. Now let's head to the entrance. I'll make sure all of you get home safe. All 8 children followed the lunar mage to the entrance. Nice work today. I'm proud of all of you. Tomorrow we can, he continued saying before he looked and saw someone at the entrance. It was a young man he didn't recognize. He wasn't too tall, maybe around 5 feet 1. He had green hair, wore a blue shirt and long lavender pants, and around his waist was a satchel with his grimoire inside. But there was something Sylvester immediately noticed about the young man in front of them. He's a magic knight. He then looked at his robe. And he's a part of the Purple Orcus. He walked up. Who are you? Have you been sent here on a mission by your squad? The young man shook his head as a smug grin creased his face. My name is Cade. I've come here of my own will. My squad usually has me do patrols around the capital, and I've noticed you day after day around the merchant district, but recently, I've been seeing peasant children around you. At first, I thought they were just following you without you knowing, but here they are right behind you. Sylvester's eyes narrowed. Why wouldn't they be? They're my students, and I'm their teacher. I teach them how to get stronger with their magic. Cade focused on the kids and gave them a disgusted look. I've heard of you, Sylvester Rossiu, the eldest Rossiu child of your generation, and the wielder of a four-leaf clover grimoire, all of that, yet you choose not to become a magic knight. Instead you waste your time training a bunch of filthy commoners. Take my advice and join a squad. That's a role truly fitting for nobles like ourselves. The children behind him frowned at being called filthy commoners, but even more at being told they were wasting Sylvester's time, the person who helped them become stronger. However, Sylvester extended his arm in front of them, his eyes filled with anger. You can say whatever the hell you want about me, but don't you dare mock my students. Nathan and Sonia were shocked. They had never heard Sylvester yell with so much rage before. Cade was taken aback too before quickly composing himself. I'll say whatever I want about these commoners, they're below me. As that's so. You said your name was Cade, right? Sylvester asked as he looked at the pompous noble. I challenge you to a battle, one-on-one, you against me. If I win, you're going to apologize to my students. Fine then, I accept, but if I win, I'm going to enjoy mocking every single one of them, and you won't be able to say or do a thing to stop me, Cade said back. You're on, the lunar mage agreed, his voice devoid of hesitation. We can fight on my courtyard. Then, by all means, lead the way, Cade said as they all walked back into the estate. Sylvester made sure to keep his students close to him as he led the magic knight to the courtyard. Upon arriving, he and Cade walked to separate sides. Sonia walked forward. If you don't mind, I'll call the beginning of the match. I don't mind, Sylvester said. Cade said nothing, merely nodding. Ready, the girl began. Sylvester took out his grimoire, and so did Cade. It was green, a three-leaf clover was in the center, an image of a meadow was behind it, and a green aura surrounded it. Fight, she then exclaimed. Sylvester was the first to act. Lunar creation magic. Moonlight armaments. He exclaimed, becoming armored as his daggers appeared and his sword formed, to which he gripped tightly as he charged forward. Charging straight forward let's see what good that will do you, Cade said as his grimoire flipped to a page. Grass magic. Leaf blade shootdown. He exclaimed as multiple blades of grass floated up to him, each one jagged sharp, with a hand gesture, they were sent right at the lunar mage. Look out, Mr. Sylvester. The students exclaimed. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Sylvester called back as he switched from charging forward to running up the sides, evading the straightforward attack and still being able to close in on the opponent. Don't think dodging me will be that easy, Cade said as he fired more leaf blades, but the lunar mage used the same strategy to get away. You talked a big game earlier, and here I thought you'd be an actual challenge, but you're just a joke, Sylvester mocked, which was something he had never done before in a fight. It was clear that he was enraged. Joke. I don't want to hear that from the person who's only dodging. Come here and fight, unless you're scared. Cade launched a taunt of his own. Sylvester didn't reply, he merely moved in. Cade grinned. That's more like it. Time to show me what you can do. Grass creation magic. Greenery blades. At his call, grass gathered and formed into 4 blades, but unlike his opponent, Cade didn't hold his swords, they each floated around him, one blade protecting one main direction. Let's see how you do against this spell, a combination of offense and defense. Cade exclaimed as he made a rising motion with his hand, as if on cue, the blade guarding his west side floated higher than the others. Once the lunar mage got close enough, he brought his hand down. At the same time, the blade came down. Sylvester, however, looked unfazed as he used his own sword to meet the attack. You look unimpressed, so why don't I kick it up a notch? Cade exclaimed as his other hand made a horizontal slashing motion, prompting the blade guarding his east side to do that very motion to attack Sylvester while he was busy with the west blade. You're going to need more than that if you want to beat me, Sylvester said, ending his struggle with the blade of grass before quickly jumping into the air, dodging the east blade. Lunar magic. Crescent bladder-dance. He continued with an exclamation as the daggers left their scabbards and raced towards Cade. I can handle that, the grass mage said confidently as he crossed his arms, prompting the north and south blades to cross together in front of the incoming daggers, but to his surprise, the daggers moved around the blades. What the? The lunar mage said nothing as he landed on the grass softly and zoomed forward while his opponent was busy with his daggers. What the hell is up with this spell? Cade commented as he used his blades to strike the daggers, but they evaded his attacks and made one of their own, putting the grass mage on defense. Once I'm done with these, all. He didn't get to finish his statement as Sylvester got close enough, but instead of striking, he bent down and skillfully swiped Cade's legs, sending him down. The grass mage looked up to see the lunar mage with his sword in the air, ready to strike. Victory is mine, he exclaimed as he brought the sword down. Not yet, Cade said in retaliation, crossing his arms together as the two blades protected him once more. He then used that as a chance to roll away, quickly doing a starfish kip up to get back on his feet as the daggers returned to their scabbards. Okay, I'll admit it, that wasn't a bad move, now it's my turn. Cade exclaimed as he jumped into the air. Grass creation magic. Greenery whiplash. At his call, the blade guarding his south side separated back into grass, before reforming into a whip. The grass mage wasted no time sending the whip Sylvester's way. He quickly used his sword and elbow armor to guard himself before doing a backflip to create this distance. Cade landed on the grass as his grimoire flipped to a new page. Grass binding magic. Pasture restraints. He exclaimed as he slammed the ground. He then smirked. This spell sends magical blades of grass to restrain him. Since we're standing on a whole patch of physical grass, he won't be able to see where it'll come from, he thought. And sure enough, 3 blades of grass sprouted up out of nowhere and coiled around Sylvester, binding him. Cade then ran forward. Here we go, this match is mine. The lunar mage smirked. I wouldn't be so sure of that. Lunar magic. Crescent bladadance. He exclaimed as the daggers shot out again, catching Cade by surprise. This time, they got a solid hit in, marking a cut on the mage's cheek. Sylvester could feel the restraints loosen, allowing him to free himself before launching 2 punches on Cade. He then jumped and kicked at his chest, sending him a few feet back. Go, Mr. Sylvester, you can win this. The children cheered. Now it's time I win this. You'll regret what you said about my students, Sylvester said as he slowly approached the grass mage. Cade slowly got up. Some blood trickled down his mouth from the punches. Damn, this isn't going well for me. I used all my best moves. I'm going to have to think of something, he muttered as his grimoire came up to him and flipped to a blank page. Text then became inscribed on it. Never mind, that something just came to me, he smirked before looking up at Sylvester. It appears I've unlocked a new spell. What perfect timing, so I guess you're wrong, because I'm going to win this, he said as he prepared to cast his new spell. Grass magic. Leaf blade hurricane. At his call, an enormous tornado formed behind him, accompanied by numerous blades of grass. Cade laughed. What a spell, let's see if you can survive this. Sylvester had some trouble evading the spell. He had to worry about the strong levels of wind coupled with the blades of grass, but it wasn't anything he couldn't handle eventually. All he had to do was get close enough. Ah! The ear-piercing scream cried out. Sylvester's eyes widened in fear as he turned around and saw Sonia, yards away from him with the other children, down on the ground as a blade of grass cut her shoulder. Sonia! Sylvester exclaimed as his grimoire flipped to a page. Lunar creation magic. Tsukuyomi's safeguard. He raised a hand at the children, and suddenly, the Japanese moon god appeared, creating a shield to protect the children from further harm. The lunar mage looked at Cade. Damn it! The range of his spell is ridiculous. I can't maintain both Tsukuyomi's safeguard and my armaments at the same time for very long. I need to finish him now. I don't think striking Moongazer can do enough damage, which means I'll need to use that spell, he thought. What's the matter, Sylvester? Can't get close enough. Cade laughed. Sylvester pointed his sword at his opponent as his grimoire flipped to a page. Just shut up. We've only just met and I'm already sick of you. Lunar creation magic. Luna, the Moon Knight Wyvern. As he exclaimed his mightiest spell, a large light blue humanoid wyvern appeared behind him. The wyvern was clad in navy blue armor with an image of the moon on its chest and a sword in its hand. With blinding speed, Sylvester and Luna moved in. The lunar mage made a striking motion with his sword. At the same time, Luna did the same movement with its sword, cutting the tornado in half. The wind stopped and the grass fell as Cade dropped to the ground in defeat, the aura on his grimoire disappearing as it fell on the ground beside its master. Luna and Sylvester's armaments disappeared as the lunar mage ran over to the children. He bent down to Sonia. Are you all right? Yeah, I think I'll be fine, she replied. Let me see the wound, he instructed. Sonia removed her hand, revealing the close to severe cut on her shoulder. Sylvester hovered his hand above it. Lunar recovery magic. Half moon resurgence, he spoke as blue light appeared, healing her injury. How's that feel? Sonia smiled. That feels better, thank you. Some time passed and everyone was standing at the entrance. Cade reluctantly bowed his upper half down. Please accept my sincerest apologies, you aren't a waste of time, he said before walking away. All's well that ends well, Sylvester said as his students came up to him. Thank you so much for defending us. They exclaimed as they all embraced him. Don't worry, I'll never let anyone say anything bad about you, that's a promise, the lunar mage told them with a smile, but then he looked up and saw her. Yards away, Reina was leaning against the walls of the hall, her arms crossed, face nonchalant, looking right at him. She said nothing as she eventually straightened herself and walked away. The smile on Sylvester's face faded, replaced by a small frown. But unbeknownst to everyone there, a fly flew around and landed right on Sylvester's shoulder. Chapter 32. Song and Dance by the Sea. Hey there readers, hope you've been staying safe. Just wanted to announce that I'm doing another week-long update this week, but this time, it's only from Monday to Friday, meaning you'll only get 5 new chapters this week. I only do 7 on special occasions since the last one was done to celebrate the new year. With that out of the way, please enjoy this string of chapters. CYA. It's finally time. Are you ready, everyone? Yami asked as he turned around to look at his squad members. The day had come. The Black Bulls were heading to Raki for their secret special mission to the underwater temple. They had all walked outside, ready to leave. Yes, they replied. You all have your stuff? The Dark Mage asked. The others nodded. Each of them had a bag in which they carried their swimsuits as well as anything else they might need for the trip. And do you all have your brooms ready? I know some of you can't use one. He asked again. Yes, replied the ones who had brooms, signifying so by raising it into the air. I'm riding with Kenos, Asta called. I'm riding with Vanessa, Noelle added. And I'm riding with Magna, Gray finished, ironically transforming into the Flame Mage. Charmy looked at them and playfully shook her head. You people and your brooms, her grimoire came up to her. Cotton magic. Cloud of wool. Yami looked at her as she jumped onto her spell of transport. Yeah, I know what you mean, I'd rather use my wheels, but apparently, he's only heard of Raki, not actually went there. He sent an intimidating glare in Finral's direction. The spatial mage gulped. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get moving, he croaked as they all mounted their brooms and soared into the sky. Kenos flew his broom over to Finral. Hey Finral, where's Gordon? Isn't he coming with us? The spatial mage shook his head. No, Gordon isn't fond of the open sea. I remember one time he wrote that it made him feel nauseous or something, so he just decided to stay back, he replied. Yami, who was in front of them, was listening in and decided to join the conversation. Don't worry though, as the only available Black Bull until we all get back, any problems that arrive, or any missions that another squad can't do and will then come to us will have to be handled by Gordon. The Solar Mage gave a look of surprise. Really? Are you sure that's a good idea? Have any of you ever seen Gordon fight before? Because I know that I haven't. You don't need to be concerned. Gordon might not look like it, but he's a first-class junior magic knight. I don't let people into my squad who don't have the potential to be great in one way or another, Yami said with a tone of seriousness around the last part. Despite what others may say about us, I believe in every single one of you. Finral and Kenos looked at their captain in shock. They had never heard him praise them like that before. The Dark Mage felt their stares as his facial expression turned into an aloof one. Well, that was a nice talk. I'm heading back up front, he said as he flew forward. For the rest of the way there, the members of the Black Bulls either began chatting with people closest to them, while others, like Yami and Ghosh, remained silent and thought to themselves. After about what seemed like an hour of flying, they looked down to see a glorious patch of blue and beige. Okay, we're here, let's land. Kenos called. Everyone heard and began flying downwards. Once they landed, they looked in admiration of the sheer beauty in front of them. The sun shone over the large and seemingly endless patch of sand as well as the vast blue ocean, making them both glisten, but what they noticed the most was the large amounts of people around, all with smiles on their faces. Asta was speechless for once. It took a few seconds for him to find his voice. Wow, so this is a beach, it's beautiful, he said silently, before exclaiming the last part. Agreed, so what are we waiting for? Let's get changed into our swimsuits and enjoy this. Vanessa exclaimed with a fist pumped into the air. All right, some of them exclaimed happily, although all of them pumped their fists up. Everybody but Captain Yami had gone to the dressing rooms to change into their swimsuits. Once they came out, they looked forward, beyond excited for the fun that they would soon have. Hey, where's Noelle and Kenos? Asta asked. Noelle's still changing. She said she'd be out in a few more minutes. As for Kenos, I don't know, Vanessa replied. Okay then, he said back. I wonder, what is there to do at a beach anyways? A great question, my friend. The sound of a familiar voice caused them all to turn around and see the Solar Mage. He wore orange shorts, a white shirt with an image of the sun right in the center, and black shades with an orange outline. A confident grin was found on his face as he approached them. Nice shade game, but, Magna began, noticing a large difference between the Solar Mage and the rest of the males present. Why are you wearing a shirt? Are you insecure about your body or something? The confident look on Kenos' face was quickly replaced by an angry one. What? No, he exclaimed before quickly composing himself and pushing up his shades. It's just that there's a time and place to show your bare chest, and the beach isn't one of them. If anything, I should be the one asking questions. He looked over at the Flame Mage and noticed that he wasn't wearing shorts, merely a strong rope tied around his waist with a white cloth covering his unmentionables. What the hell is that? Kenos asked with a deadpan expression. This is a swimsuit for a real man. Magna replied exuberantly. Kenos was not convinced, and his face showed it. Sure it is, he commented before turning to the sea, his left palm open as he extended the arm triumphantly. And to answer your question, Asta, there are many things to do at a beach. You could go for a swim, or perhaps take a leisurely stroll by the shore. You can have barbecues, parties, play sports, partake in activities like making a sandcastle, or meet new people. The possibilities are nearly endless. He finished with a triumphant exclamation. The others' sweat dropped at their squadmates' rather enthusiastic remark about the beach and all the things you could do. Thanks, you must really like the beach, don't you, Kenos? Asta asked. The solar mage nodded. You bet. I used to come here all the time with my family when I was little. Before, his happy expression fell a bit. Quote. Things changed between us. Oh, the swordsman said. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything. Kenos shook his head before a small smile was present. Don't worry about it. No matter what might be going on between me and my family, it will never dull my love of the beach, he said. So what are we waiting for? Let's go have some fun. Yeah, they all cheered. I think you forgot to mention something to do at the beach, Kenos, flirting with the nearly endless amounts of ladies here, all in their swimsuits, hell yeah. Finneral exclaimed with starry eyes as he ran in a direction. Hey Magna, wanna chase me around? Luck asked. No, we practically do that all the time back at the hideout, Magna replied as a grin crossed his face. I know, why don't we send attacks at each other and see who can still stand? Ooh, that sounds like fun, bet I'll last longer than you, Luck said. As if, victory will be mine. The flame mage exclaimed as they both ran to an isolated spot. I know what I'm going to do, Ghosh said as he summoned a mirror. I'm going to call my beloved angel, mirror exchange magic, reflect transmission. Marie appeared on the other side of the mirror. Hi Ghosh, are you at the beach? That's right, I wish you could be here, the mirror mage said. Hey Marie, are you talking to someone? A voice asked from Marie's side, the person then stuck their head into the mirror's view, it was none other than Marco Scarlet. Oh, it's your brother, hi there Ghosh. Marco, you and the old hag better be keeping Marie safe, or else I'm going to, Ghosh began before being met with a stern look by his sister. Ghosh, she said with crossed arms. Right, never mind, now behold, before I called you, I crafted this, Ghosh said as he turned his mirror, letting the two kids see a sculpture in Marie's likeness. I made a sand sculpture of you. Wow, it looks so detailed, Marco commented. Of course it is, I would never show it to Marie if I didn't think it was perfect, Ghosh said. So Marie, do you like it? I love it, but as Asta or Kenos around, I want to say hi, Marie replied before asking. Me too, Marco added. No, I don't know where they went, I'll see you later, gotta go, Ghosh replied before the transmission ended, his eyebrow then twitched violently. So, she wants to see Asta and Kenos instead of only talking to me, once I see them, they're dead, he said before he stopped, thought about it, and sighed. You know what, never mind, Marie wouldn't like it if I did so, besides, I still owe them, well, back to sculpting, time to make one of me. If we're at the beach, then I know the perfect thing to do, Charmy said as she pulled out a watermelon from seemingly nowhere. Play the watermelon smashing game. Hey there, mind if I join you? Gray asked as he transformed into Charmy and walked over to the cotton mage. Why of course, but who's going to guide us if we're both blindfolded? Charmy asked. I can do that, a voice called. The two turned to see Vanessa a few yards away, she was sitting on a beach chair, under an umbrella, with a cup of wine in her hand. Come closer to me so I won't have to yell. Okay, the two said as they brought the watermelon closer to the thread mage, they then took a cloth and tied it around their eyes before grabbing a club. Alright then, Charmy, you take a left, Gray, you take a right, Vanessa instructed, but she had gotten the two confused, causing them to walk in the wrong direction, further away from the watermelon. Oops, I mixed them up, I should tell them, or, maybe I shouldn't, she thought with a mischievous grin. You two are doing great. How close are we? Charmy asked. Pretty close. Both of you make a left and walk forward, then you'll be right in front of it, Vanessa instructed, doing her very best to not laugh. The two did what she said, but felt around and concluded the large fruit wasn't around. Gray turned to where he thought Vanessa was. Hey, I don't think the watermelon is here. Oh, my bad, both of you turn around and keep walking, when you're close enough, I'll tell you to take a left, Vanessa replied. Charmy and Gray did what she said, but the two of them internally groaned. She's totally playing us, they thought. Ah, now this is relaxing, Kenos said with a sigh of relaxation as he laid down on the sand under the sun. Hey there, is this where you went? A voice asked. The solar mage moved up his shades, seeing Asta in front of him. Yup, need something? Kenos asked as he put his shades back down, crossing his arms above his head. No, just wanted to know where you were, I'm a bit confused on what to do, mind if I join you? The swordsman replied before asking. Sure. Lay down, Kenos replied as Asta did so. Asta shielded his eyes from the sun and turned his head to his squadmate. So, do you like to just lay down here? I do. I enjoy just lying here, feeling the warmth of the sand on my back and the warmth of the sun on my chest. It gives me this feeling of peace to think to myself, if I was able to, I could stay like this for hours, Kenos replied with a simple and relaxed tone. Asta nodded. He too liked the feeling of the sand on his back. He had never felt anything like it in his life. Wow, this does feel nice. I never knew the beach could be this extraordinary. I know. Say, after we're done here, wanna go for a swim? Kenos asked. I'm going to have to pass. I actually don't know how to swim. I never really had a chance to, Asta replied. Could you teach me? I could try. I'm not the best teacher. Vase taught me how to swim when I first came here, but his instructions were pretty vague. I just learned it pretty fast, Kenos replied. Don't worry. I'm a fast learner too. I did learn Ki pretty fast, the magicless mage said. The solar mage nodded. True, and that reminds me, I still have to learn Ki. After I teach you how to swim, wanna do some practice? Of course, I look forward to it. But unbeknownst to the two, just a small amount of feet away, Noelle stood there, hiding behind a tree, in her swimsuit, looking at Asta and Kenos, more specifically, the former. Come on Noelle, just walk up and ask him what he thinks. Wait a minute, I don't want him to see me. This is just to prove that I'm better than Rebecca. She thinks she's won just because she kissed him. The water mage thought nervously as she slowly approached the two, but then, she stopped. No, I can't, it's too embarrassing. Unfortunately for her, Kenos heard footsteps on the sand. He bent his head, seeing her right there. Oh, he stated, doing a kip up before he turned to her. Hey there Noelle, I haven't seen you. Yeah, but, why are you wearing a shirt? She asked. I like wearing shirts to the beach, he explained quickly, not wanting to have a similar thing happen as it did with Magna. This is it, I have to say something. Wait, I have an idea, I'll just find out what Asta thinks by asking them both, that way, I won't draw any suspicion, she thought. Hey, can I ask you two something? Sure. Noelle nervously brought her hand up to her bra. IW want to know your opinion. What do you think of my swimsuit? Your swimsuit. Kenos repeated as he scanned his squadmate, looking up and down, he shrugged. I think it looks just fine. Yellow really suits you, and those diamonds add a nice touch too. Asta nodded. He's right. I like it. It looks really fancy. Is that what a bikini is? It looks great on you. Noelle lightly blushed. Well, of course I do. I am royalty after all, she said as she regained her composure and flicked her ponytail. Kenos raised a brow. If she was sure that she looked good, why did she ask us for our opinion so nervously? Is this a girl thing I'm just not understanding or what? He thought. That wasn't a bad attack Magna, now it's my turn. The voice of the lightning mage exclaimed. The three rookies looked to see him chasing Magna, quickly getting closer to where they were. You can try all you want, but there's no way I'm losing to anything you got. Magna exclaimed as he continued running. Let's see if that's true. Luck exclaimed as he fired a blast of basic blue lightning at the flame mage. But Magna dodged them both, he laughed. Is that all you got? Fine then. No more playing around. Time I get up close and personal, Luck said with a grin as he bent down, preparing to use his magic to zoom over to this target. However, as he moved forward, his foot slipped a bit on the sand, causing his body to go lower and he raced towards Magna. Damn, I didn't think I'd lose my footing. Now instead of racing towards Magna's chest, I'm racing towards his legs. I guess it's alright, as long as I can touch him and give him a rather electrifying gift. He continued with a thought as he got to where he wanted in a matter of seconds. But once more, a problem in his plan had occurred. Due to the loss in proper footing before Luck's movement, when he had gotten right next to Magna, he was actually a good amount of inches away, meaning he couldn't fully touch the flame mage. However, his arm span was just long enough to pull at the rope holding up Magna's underwear. Unfortunately, the pull was strong enough to undo the knot, causing the garment to drop to the ground, leaving nothing to the imagination. As boys, Kenos, Asta, and Luck saw nothing new, but that wasn't the same for Noelle. Her face glowed bright red. What the hell? She exclaimed as she pulled her wand out of seemingly nowhere and blasted water right at Magna's little friend. Damn it, he muttered as he held his thing with both hands as he dropped on the sand, crouching in pain. Sorry, it was a reflex, Noelle said. Kenos turned to her. It's all right. That's something a girl your age isn't used to seeing. Noelle's face grew even redder as she thought back to what happened with Fanzel just a few days prior. She pointed her wand at the solar mage, the red on her face not disappearing. Kenos Rossiu, one more word and you face the same fate. The solar mage playfully put up his hands in a surrendering manner, his face aloof as he turned his head to the side and averted his gaze, but that aloof look quickly turned into a chuckle, then a smile. What's so funny? She asked. Nothing much. It's just so hard to take that threat seriously when you have that look on your face, he replied as another chuckle escaped his mouth. Take this. Noelle yelled as she fired water from her wand, but Kenos ducked, evading it completely. He laughed as the water mage chased him around, trying to get a hit in. Asta watched them as he walked to Magna and Luck. Now they're acting just like you two. Magna pulled himself up and put his garment back on. I'll take that as a half compliment, but now for the more important matter at hand, he said, turning to Luck, clenching a fist as fire engulfed it. Luck, you bastard, because of you, I got my thing shot at, I'm so going to kill you. Would it help if I said that it was an accident? Luck asked, but Magna only got closer. Okay. I'm taking that as a no, I guess it's your turn again. Hey. The 5 black bulls stopped what they were doing and turned in the direction of the voice. It was Captain Yami. He was looking straight at them, beckoning them to come over to him. The captain didn't change into anything. I wonder what he's been doing this whole time. Kenos wondered aloud as they all walked towards him. What's the problem, Cap? He was about to ask, but was stopped as his vision went black, but it only lasted a few seconds as he soon found his body buried in the sand, all the way up to his neck, with Yami in front of him. What the? He muttered as he looked to his sides and saw the others, in the same situation as him. He then noticed the person right to his left, the spatial mage. Hey there Finral, how'd the flirting go? Comedic tears fell down Finral's face, but he was unable to bring his hands up to dry them. It was terrible, I didn't get a single catch. He replied. Don't worry, you'll succeed one day, I know it, the solar mage said encouragingly. Thank you Kenos. Finral cried. No problem, Kenos said back as he looked around again. So, can anybody explain how we got into this situation? He asked openly. I had you all come to me at the same time. Once you all got close enough, I used my speed to bury you in the sand before you could even comprehend what was happening, Yami explained as he blew smoke from his cigarette. Look, I don't mind you enjoying yourselves, but we can't forget why we're here. We understand. Sorry Captain Yami, they all said together. No problem. Just remember, the full moon is tonight, meaning the strong magic region around the underwater temple will be at its weakest. That's when we'll go, Yami explained before turning to the royal girl. Noelle, as the water mage of our squad, it'll be up to you to get us down there. Noelle gave him an uneasy look. I don't know, the only spell I know is Sea Dragon's Lair, and it's immobile. Yami knelt down and looked at her with serious, yet soft eyes. Then you'll just have to make a new spell. It's time for you to push past your limits, I believe you can do it. Same here, I believe in you too. Asta added. Noelle thought about it, the uneasy look on her face was soon replaced with a look full of determination and resolve. Okay, I'll do it. Yami stood up and smiled. Good, I'll be honest with you, if that didn't work, I was just going to threaten your life, he said with a laugh. The rest of his squad didn't join him however, as they all sweat dropped instead, Charmy spoke up. Captain, can you get us out of this? I'm getting hungry. Yami's stomach started rumbling. Yup. I'm starting to get hungry myself, he said as he went to each of his squad members, grabbing their heads one by one as he pulled them up from their sandy prisons. He then turned to the cotton mage. Okay Charmy, make us some food. She nodded happily. It'll be my pleasure. Since we're on a beach, I'll go traditional and make some stuff for a barbecue. Oh yeah, everyone cheered. Charmy ran over and grabbed her grimoire as it opened. Cotton creation magic. Sheep cooks. At her call, the culinary trained sheep appeared, all with knives in their hands. Charmy looked at them, her eyes showed comedic seriousness. Alright, let's begin. Man, that was good. Asta held his stomach as he gave a look of content as he and Noelle changed into their casual clothes without their robes and took a stroll by the shore, just far enough that the waves wouldn't reach them, but would let some drops touch their feet. Noelle was silent. She then looked up into the sky. Asta noticed this and did the same. They both marveled at the beauty of the full moon above them. You know, it feels different here at night, Noelle said. She and the swordsman looked around. The entire beach area was empty, except for the beach house the Black Bulls rented. It greatly contrasted the packed look during the day. You're right, it gives me this weird new feeling, Asta agreed. The water mage averted her gaze from Asta. Hey, I just wanted to say thanks for agreeing to help me learn a new spell. Asta grinned. No problem, I'd never say no to you or any of the other Black Bulls, you're like my family. Noelle smiled. I like the sound of that, she whispered. So, where should we train? Here on the shore, or a little closer to the water? She asked at a normal volume. Anywhere's fine as long as it's not close to the water, Asta replied. I was so caught up in the awesome barbecue, I forgot to ask Kenos to teach me how to swim. I see, then I suppose it's fine if we train here, let's get the water mage decided, but her statement was interrupted midway as she stopped. Noelle, is something the matter? Asta asked with a confused look. Shish, she whispered before she spoke up. Do you hear that? The magicless mage stopped talking and began listening. It wasn't too easy at first with the sound of the waves behind them, but eventually, he picked up on an irregular sound. That sound is someone singing? Asta asked. Don't know for sure, but it sounds like it, Noelle replied as she pointed at the rocks near the water. The sound came from there. Let's check it out. The two black bulls started running towards the source of the singing. When they got closer, they slowed down their pace so as to not scare off whoever, or whatever was making that sound. They hid behind the rocks as they heard the voice get louder. The two then took a peek, but widened their eyes as they saw the source of the singing. Standing on top of a rock was a girl. She had long and dark red hair tied in a ponytail that was decorated with seashells. She wore a sleeveless white dress, a red belt, and sandals, but what Asta and Noelle noticed last was the satchel on her left side, with her grimoire inside of it. She's a mage. Her singing is incredible, Noelle commented as she looked at the girl. The waves crashed against the rocks multiple times, forming short lasting walls of water behind her. It was as if the sea itself was pleased with her song. I know. I want to get closer, Asta said as he tried to climb the rocks. What are you doing, Dirksta? Stay down, Noelle whispered, but it was too late. As soon as the swordsman planted his feet on the rocks, he slipped on them since they were wet, dropping on them. The girl turned around with a startled look on her face. Who's there? She asked aloud, but it didn't take her long to see the two teens. Oh, people, she said in a much calmer tone as she skipped from rock to rock in their direction. Damn, Asta couldn't keep his feet on those rocks for a few seconds, but this girl is skipping across them like it's no big deal, Noelle thought as the girl was only a few inches from them. Hello there, she greeted with a look of slight curiosity. Asta got back on his feet, ready to introduce himself, but the water mage stepped up, beating him to the punch. Hi there, I'm Noelle Silva, and this is Dirksta. We heard someone singing and tracked it here to find you. Whoa whoa whoa, hold it, my name isn't Dirksta, it's Asta, the swordsman corrected. It might as well be Dirksta. I told you not to climb those rocks, but you didn't listen and you slipped, Noelle said back. The girl giggled. Well, it's nice to meet you, Noelle and Asta. My name's Kahono. I'm sort of embarrassed. I'm not used to people watching me practice my singing. Practice your singing? Is that why you're here? Asta asked. Kahono nodded. That's right. I love the sound of the waves crashing against the rocks at night. It's my ideal place to practice. One day, I'm going to be an idol. I'll become a great singer and take the Clover Kingdom by storm. What's an idol? The two black bulls asked. Kahono looked dumbfounded. You're joking, right? She asked. The two shook their heads. An idol is someone who's famous for their singing or dancing. It's my dream, the thing I want to achieve most. Asta nodded. I know how you feel. I have a dream too. I'm going to become the Wizard King and change this kingdom. So, what reason do you have to be an idol, Kahono? I'm so glad you asked. I love to sing, but there's something I love just as much as singing. And that's money. She replied with a cheerful exclamation. Asta and Noelle's sweat dropped. Money. That's right. I hear being an idol pays well, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be financially stable, Kahono replied. I suppose, Asta and Noelle said with a deadpan expression. All right then, it's your turn. What exactly are you two doing here? Wait, let me guess. Two people, a boy, and a girl, nobody else around. Ah, Kahono said before giving a loud, girly scream. What's the matter? Noelle asked. I get it now. Just the two of you, by yourselves, alone, at night, under the full moon, a perfect opportunity for a romantic stroll, Kahono said with a sly smile. I apologize, my singing got in the way of your date. What? It isn't like that, Asta denied rather casually, as if the girl's words didn't faze him one bit. Noelle, on the other hand, was a different story. What he said, there's nothing going on between us, I'm royalty, I'd never go out with someone like him. She exclaimed as her face turned bright red. Hey, Asta said with an offended tone. You didn't have to say all of that. My bad, she quickly apologized. So, that's how it is. Noelle likes Asta, but doesn't want to admit it, and Asta seemingly has no clue of her feelings. These two are interesting, Kahono thought as she jumped down from the rock. My mistake. I guess the two of you aren't a couple, so what are you doing here? We're Magic Knights, of the Black Bulls, we're here for a mission, Asta replied. Wow, Magic Knights, then the two of you must be powerful mages. What mission are you here for? We're going to the underwater. Asta was about to reply before Noelle covered his mouth with her hand. Sorry, but we can't tell you. It's a secret mission, Noelle interjected. Oh come on, I wanna know, Kahono pouted. I promise I won't tell anyone. Asta freed himself from his squadmate's grip. We can tell her. I read her key, her words are genuine. Fine then, we're going to the underwater temple, Noelle answered. The underwater temple, I've heard of that place, isn't it inside a strong magic region? Kahono asked. Noelle nodded. That's right, but it'll be weak tonight because of the full moon. As the water mage of my squad, I have to get us there, but I don't have a spell to do it. So that's why we're out here, to train, Asta finished. Kahono held her chin. As that's so, then tell ya what, I'll give you a hand as well. Asta and Noel were surprised. You will. Of course, the three of us are friends now. You seem nice enough, and besides, the full moon is tonight, meaning you only have around 8 to 9 hours to create a new spell. That's not an easy feat to pull. As such, you're going to need all the help you can get, Kahono explained. She's right. I say we accept her help, Asta said. Noel sighed. Okay, thank you for agreeing to help us, she said with a smile. Kahono smiled too. No problem. I don't mind helping my friends, she began as she extended her hand. Quote. For a reasonable price, that is. Price. Hey, what did I say about financial stability? The girl said. Besides, you said you were royalty, so I doubt that you can't pay. Fine, the water mage said as she reluctantly handed the girl a bag of money. Kahono gratefully took the money, a smile on her face. Pleasure doing business with you, friend. Now, where did he go? Kenos walked out of the beach house he and the other black bulls were staying at. He had on his casual clothes, but had left his robe behind. He was now looking for Asta so they could do his key training, but noticed that neither he or Noel were present, so ventured out into the night. Wow, the full moon looks beautiful tonight. I don't know why, but it has a different feel here compared to when I'm at home, the solar mage said aloud to himself as he walked along the shore. Where did Asta go? Could he really have gotten that far that I can't find him? He continued, but unbeknownst to him, he was walking in one direction, while Asta and Noel were in the complete opposite direction. If I can't find him, maybe I should try doing the training by myself, that or I could just ask Captain Yami to help me. I'm sure he wouldn't, Kenos had begun to say, but stopped as he heard something. What in the world? Where'd that sound come from? It almost sounds like steps, he deduced. He then listened closer before looking forward, seeing a cascade of large rocks. And it's coming from there. The solar mage walked forward silently to make sure the sound of the steps didn't get lost in the sound of his own walking. Once he made it to the rocks, he looked up to find the source of the sound, and his eyes widened once he saw who it belonged to. It was a boy who didn't look any older than himself. He had long and dark blue hair. A strand of it was braided to the right side of his head and the rest was tied into the form of a kind of ponytail. He wore a sleeveless white shirt and pants with blue outlines around the edges, and by the right side of his waist was his satchel and grimoire. But what Kenos noticed most of all was the fact that this boy was dancing, his eyes closed as he changed from movement to movement all in a graceful manner. The solar mage was mesmerized. Incredible, this guy's such a talented dancer, he thought as he involuntarily climbed up the rocks and took a seat, wanting to see more. The boy gracefully moved across the sand. Kenos took note of the rocks behind him, protecting him from the waves as they constantly hit it, sending short-lasting walls of water into the air. It was as if the sea itself wanted to get closer to his performance. The boy jumped into the air just as another wave came up behind him. He then landed gracefully and put his head down, ending his dance. Kenos smiled happily. Another involuntary action occurred when he started clapping and cheering. All right, bravo, bravo, that was amazing. The boy opened his eyes in a startled manner and looked forward to see the solar mage cheering for him. A smile crossed his face. Man, what a performance. I wonder if he. Wait a minute, am I clapping? He thought as he looked down and saw that he was clapping. He then looked forward to see the boy looking straight at him. Oh crap, damn it, he muttered as he stopped clapping and looked at the boy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to startle you, or to spy on you, it was just that I was walking, then I heard steps, so I came here and I saw you dancing, I just couldn't stop watching. The boy walked over to him, the smile on his face not fading. No worries, I'm actually glad to know that my dancing is that good, he said before extending his hand. Nice to meet you, I'm Kiato, and you are? Kenos took the hand as they shook. I'm Kenos Rossiu, it's a pleasure to meet you, Kiato, where'd you learn to dance like that? Where'd I learn? I guess I really taught myself. I've been dancing since I was a kid, it's my dream to become a great dancer, one who can mesmerize the hearts of every person in the entire Clover Kingdom, Kiato replied before stating passionately. Wow, what a great dream, wanting to put a smile on everyone's face, and if you ask me, you can already do it, you were incredible, Kenos said. That's true, but it's not just smiles, as well as making people happy, I want to earn a ton of money, Kiato responded. A ton of money you say? Well, I suppose that's all right, I'm a noble, I know the importance of money, Kenos said. Kiato happily nodded. It's nice to see that you understand, so, if I could ask, what exactly are you doing here? I may not have my robe on, but I'm a magic knight, I came here for a mission, but it hasn't begun yet, right now, I'm trying to do some key training, the solar mage replied. What's key? Kiato asked. Oh, my bad, Ki is a technique that helps the user anticipate the movements and intentions of their opponent by taking into account their senses, breathing, body language, etc., Kenos explained. I have a friend who's mastered it, but I'm still having some trouble getting the hang of it, so my friend is helping me, but I don't know where he is right now. I see. This Ki has some similarities to dancing. Tell ya what, why don't I help you? I can even give you some pointers of my own, Kyoto decided. Really? That would be great, Kenos cheered. But first, I just want to know something quick. What's this mission you're going on? Kyoto asked curiously. I don't know, it's kind of a secret, and the two of us just met, Kenos challenged. Come on, you can trust me, and it's a fair exchange. I help you with your Ki training, and you tell me where you're going. The solar mage held his chin. I guess you have a point, but you can't tell anyone. My squad and I are going to the underwater temple. The underwater temple, if I'm not mistaken, it's a place beneath this sea. Isn't going there dangerous? Kyoto asked. Yes, but we have a water mage who could get us there, the solar mage replied. I see. Well, let's not waste any more time and begin that training, the boy said. Right. Oh wait, you said that you wanted to be a dancer for money as well. Does that mean I should pay you as well? Kenos asked. Kyoto shook his head. No, we already made a deal and exchanged what we knew. Besides, I may like money, but I'm nowhere near as greedy as my little sister. You have a sister. That's right, she's a big ball of energy, and she loves to sing. We're going to become famous together, Kyoto replied. Do you have siblings? Kenos nodded. I do, a brother and a sister. I'm the youngest though. Nothing wrong with being a younger sibling, Kyoto said. You're right, Kenos said as he took his grimoire and opened it. Solar creation magic. Solar construct. Staff. He exclaimed as he equipped the weapon. Solar magic. Cool, Kyoto stated as he took out his own grimoire and pulled out two short blue blades. Is that your magic? Kenos asked. Nope. I just store physical blades in my grimoire to use alongside my magic, Kyoto replied as his grimoire flipped to a page. Dance reinforcement magic. Assisting steps. He exclaimed as a transparent blue aura surrounded him and his blades. As he raised the blades, a bubble-like stream followed it. Dance magic. I've never heard of that. No wonder you're such a talented dancer, Kenos noted. Thanks. Now let's do this. Kyoto exclaimed as they ran to each other. Water creation magic. Sea Dragon's Lair. Noelle exclaimed as the water barrier appeared around her. Within it, she had begun panting. The water mage had shown Kahono her only spell about 2 hours ago and told her that the thing she struggled with the most was magic control, so Kahono told her that the key to making a new spell was to better her control, so to do that, she had Noelle cast her Sea Dragon's Lair multiple times, each time trying to augment the amount of mana used to cast it. Come on Noelle, don't be so tense, loosen up, you won't be able to control it properly if you try too hard, Kahono advised. I'm trying, Noelle said in between breaths as her spell vanished and she dropped to her knees. Kahono walked over to her, her grimoire out. Don't worry, I got you, song recovery magic. Healing lullaby, she said as bubbles appeared around the water mage, healing her stamina, a smile then came to her face. That'll be another 90 YUL. Thanks, Noelle said as she got up, she then sighed, handing over the money. Why can't I get the hang of this? We've been doing this for over 2 hours. You just started. Don't worry about not getting it, all you need to do is keep trying and remember to not give up, Asta said while he sat on the rocks close by. He knew there wasn't much he could do to help in this situation as he didn't have any magic, so he just decided to watch and say what he could for his squadmate. Thanks for the words of encouragement, Kahono said as she turned from the swordsman to the water mage. Just keep trying to loosen up and calm yourself down. I've been trying to, but it's just not working. We only have a bit over 7 hours before the sun comes up, I can't help but be a little tense. Alright then, why don't you try thinking of a good memory, the best ones you've experienced in your life, Kahono advised. When you think of good memories, you just feel more at ease, it's almost like that exciting feeling of anticipation you get when your birthday's coming up, or when a holiday is near. A good memory, Noelle repeated as she closed her eyes and began searching her mind for them. She found memories, but not good ones. A royal who can't control her magic, you're a disgrace to the Silva family, get away from me, she remembered Solid say once when she was a little girl. What a filthy wretch, how on earth can you be my little sister, I'm embarrassed just standing around you, she then remembered Nebra saying as an adolescent. A failure, that's all you are, the failure that killed our mother, the great matriarch of our family, it should have been you who died during childbirth, not her, she remembered Nozzle saying to her just before she went for the Magic Knight's entrance exam. Noelle opened her eyes, the look of sadness was obvious as she held herself and turned away from the two. Sorry, I don't really have one of those. The song mage walked over to her and placed a hand on her shoulder. I'm sorry, I didn't know you felt that way about your past. We can try some other method to calm you down if that one won't work, she said apologetically. Don't worry, it's not your fault at all, Noelle said back. Hey, wait a minute, I think I know something you can try, but it doesn't have to do with calming yourself down, Asta suggested as he jumped from his seat and ran to them. And what might that be? Kahono asked curiously. You need to let go of your control completely, Asta suggested. Just like what you did when we first met. Noelle's eyes narrowed, she knew exactly what he meant. 2 days before Kenos joined the squad, Noelle had gone into the woods to train her magic control. Asta followed her and saw her struggle, but Noelle had noticed him. Embarrassed at what he might think of her, she tried to attack him, but it had backfired and she lost control, causing her water magic to form into a large sphere of water with tentacles of water, laying destruction to everything in its path. I don't know, it was really dangerous back then, Noelle said with a tone of uncertainty. Don't worry, Asta assured her as he pulled out his demon slayer. Just like last time, if anything goes wrong, I'll just use my anti-magic sword and save you. It sounds foolproof to me, Kahono added. Alright then, but don't blame me if this doesn't work, the water mage said as he walked a good distance away from them before taking a deep breath. She put her hands in front of her. An orb of water appeared, it was small, but it got large quickly as it moved towards Noelle and trapped her inside before floating up into the air. Tentacles of water began to extend out of the orb and crashed on the ocean floor. Wow, is that what it looks like when she lets go? It looks so powerful, Kahono stated. I know, but now the only question is if she can regain control from that point and create a new spell, Asta said back. From within the water orb, Noelle looked down. Okay, this is it, I have to regain control, she thought as she protruded her hands forward, but the attempt proved futile as nothing happened. She was beginning to panic. Shit. It's not working, Asta. Kahono exclaimed. I'm on it. Asta exclaimed back as he readied the demon slayer and ran over, jumping on the rock directly under the water orb. Don't worry, I'm coming. So this is where the two of you have been. Don't worry about her, kid, she'll be just fine. Asta smiled as he recognized the voice, but as he turned around, he saw a sight that brought an even larger smile to his face. I'm nowhere near done yet, come at me again, Kyoto. Kenos exclaimed between breaths, he tightened the grip on his staff as he stared at the dance mage. 2 hours had passed since the two of them began his training. Kenos had decided not to use the training method he and Asta used wherein Asta would warn him before making a move. This was done in order to get a more authentic feel to Ki. Kyoto would merely try to attack and the solar mage would try to anticipate his movements while launching a counterattack, but so far, he wasn't doing too well. But despite that, there was no way he was going to quit. Okay then, dance magic, enchanting pirouette. Kyoto exclaimed as he danced forward, doing a pirouette after each movement, and aura then came around him, creating afterimages as he drew closer. What the? Kenos muttered as he found it hard to keep track of where the dance mage was. Take this. Kyoto then exclaimed as he appeared right in front of Kenos and lunged forward. The solar mage quickly leaned backward. Alright, I dodged his attack, although, it was only because of that fact that he exclaimed his attack, which gave me time to avoid it. Still, I think my progress is getting, he thought, but was stopped as Kyoto quickly spun around him and aimed a sweep kick at his legs, sending him on the sand. Damn it, why do I keep losing to that move, he said as Kyoto helped him up. You did a lot better this time, Kenos, Kyoto congratulated. I may have gave you a bit of a warning, but your reaction time was still good enough for you to do something. Thanks, but not all my opponents will announce their attacks. Besides, he isn't just about reaction time, there's more to it, Kenos said back. You have a point, Kyoto said as he held his chin in thought. Hey, do you mind if I give a piece of advice? Sure, as I already stated earlier, he has some similarities to dancing, so maybe to get the hang of it, you need to look at it from a dancer's perspective, Kyoto said. Kenos raised a brow. How so? Well, when I dance, the most important thing I pay attention to is my environment, Kyoto replied as he extended his arms above his head. I feel everything that's around me, the sand, the rocks, the waves of the ocean, it helps my dancing, as well as my magical prowess when I fight. Interesting, so how's that supposed to help me? The solar mage asked. Try to remember these words. Feel what's around you, and let it make you strong. Feel what's around me, and let it make me strong, Kenos repeated. He then clenched his fist, a determined look on his face. I can do that, he said before he heard something. What the hell is going on? He asked aloud as he turned around and saw something in the distance. It was a large orb of water, with tentacles coming out as they crashed on the ocean floor. That looks like water magic. Noelle, Kenos deduced as he started running towards it, but then he stopped. Sorry Kyoto, I got to go, thanks for your, he said as he turned around, but to his surprise, Kyoto wasn't there. Huh, where'd he go? I didn't hear any footsteps, he must have used a spell to get away. I hope we can meet again someday, Kenos continued as he began running in the direction of the massive water sphere. Solar reinforcement magic. Sunshine aura. The orange aura appeared as his speed increased, he made it to the other side in a short 3 minutes. He looked up and saw Noelle inside the sphere. What's happening? He muttered. Come on, Noelle. Multiple voices exclaimed. The solar mage looked down to see the other black bulls by the shore, cheering her on. Kenos caught onto what was happening. Oh yeah, she's trying to make a new spell. I better go join the others, she needs the encouragement, he said as his aura disappeared and he walked over to the others, but they didn't notice him. This is it, time for you to push past your limits, Noelle. Yami exclaimed. We believe in you, we know you can do it, we're here for you all the way. Vanessa added. Do your best, and if you get hungry, I got a snack for you. Charmy exclaimed this time. Give it all you got, make us proud, rookie. Magna added. Noelle heard everyone say their words of encouragement, a small smile touched her face. Everyone, they're all here, just for me, she thought before she remembered what she and Kahono said a few minutes ago. Alright then, why don't you try thinking of a good memory, the best ones you've experienced in your life? Sorry, I don't really have one of those. The water mage clenched her fist. I was wrong, I do have good memories, with the Black Bulls, I've lived with my family for years, and despite that, I don't have a single fond memory of them, but after just a few months with this squad, I've formed some of the greatest memories in my life, ones that I'll always treasure. They believe in me, so I won't let them down. Her grimoire then flipped to a blank page as text became inscribed on it, a surprised look came to her face, but it was soon replaced by a large smile. I did it, the new spell, here we go, water creation magic, Sea Dragon's Cradle. She mentally exclaimed as the tentacles disappeared, the orb looked a lot more peaceful, almost beautiful. Oh yeah, everyone exclaimed as they saw the new spell. Thanks for the encouragement, everyone, Noelle as the spell vanished and she began to fall. I got you, Asta said as he caught the girl and held her in his arms. You did great, Noelle, I'm happy for you. Noelle brought her hand up, ready to slap the swordsman for touching her so casually, but then she stopped herself, just glad that he was proud of her. Thanks, Asta. The swordsman set her down as they both turned to where Kahono was, ready to thank her for her help, but to their surprise, she wasn't there. Did she leave? Noelle asked. Asta shrugged. Probably. But far away from where the Black Bulls were, Kyoto was standing on a rock, looking up at the full moon. He then looked to his side as Kahono approached him. Hey there sis, I take it you're done with singing practice. Yup, but I got to meet some interesting people, and guess what? They said they're magic knights heading to the underwater temple, Kahono replied before saying. Strange, the exact same thing happened to me, I guess that means we'll have guests soon, Kyoto said. This is going to be fun. With that, the two siblings jumped into the sea, awaiting the time their friends would see them again. Chapter 33. The Game Master. Hey there, readers, hear the chapter for day 2, enjoy. CYA. Nice work there, Noelle, way to surpass your limits, Yami said approvingly. Thanks, Captain, but I had some help, Noelle said back. That's alright. Nothing wrong with leaning on others, the Dark Mage said before he turned his attention to the Solar Mage. And Kenos, where did you go? I didn't see you leave the beach house. Oh, I went off somewhere to do some key training, I'm still trying to learn, but I'll never stop, Kenos replied. A small smile touched Yami's face. As that's so, well, I'm glad to see that you're so dedicated even though you're struggling, that's an attitude I like to see in my squad members, especially since it's not seen with many nobles today. Alright Captain. I'm ready to take us all down, Noelle said. Oh no you're not, you've been training in order to get that new spell, as such, you're not at your best, the same thing goes for you too, Kenos, we'll head down there in an hour, your magic and stamina should get back to normal by then, Yami told them as he then walked over to the rocks and pulled out 3 Black Bull's robes. You're going to need these, he threw them as they caught it and put them on. Alright, this is going to be awesome, Asta exclaimed cheerfully as they all looked at the sea. An hour passed. The Black Bulls had either eaten or gotten some rest. Once the hour break was over, they all stood right where they were an hour ago, robes on, faces serious. I take it you're all ready? Yami asked. Yes, Captain. They all responded. Yami then turned to the water and solar mages. And you too? Yes, Captain. The two of them responded. The Dark Mage grinned. Perfect, so let's go. He exclaimed as they all ran and jumped into the air, right above the ocean. Noelle. I'm on it. She said as her grimoire came out, it flipped through pages. Water creation magic. Sea Dragon's Cradle. She exclaimed as the water orb surrounded all of them before dropping onto the ocean floor, slowly sinking under. Wow, So this is what it looks like underwater, Vanessa stated openly. I wonder if there are any sea creatures for me to cook up. Charmy and Gray exclaimed. I wouldn't bother looking. This is Raki. If there were creatures living under the sea, I don't think people would be allowed here, Finral said to them. Finral, there's a whole temple under here. I think the kingdom could miss a few things, Keno said to him. Guys, I don't mean to be rude, but could you keep it down a bit? I just learned this spell an hour ago and I still have to maintain control so that it doesn't vanish and kill us all, Noelle said, holding her wand with both hands. You heard the girl, shut up. Yami yelled at them. Captain, that means you too, Noelle said. The dark mage turned to her with his intimidating glare. Me. The royal girl turned her head in fear, but Yami noticed the sweat rolling down her face. She was trying really hard, the dark mage sighed. Okay, he said as he walked to the others, putting a finger to his lips as to tell them to all be quiet. They all nodded understandingly. A smile touched Noelle's face. Thank you, everyone. If my siblings were here, getting them to stop talking would be nearly impossible, she thought. The orb was silent as it descended down further into the sea. 10 minutes passed without any trouble, Noelle sighed in relief. Nice, everything's going perfectly, no problems, we should make it to the underwater temple in a few more, she began thinking, but was stopped as the orb started to shake violently. Noelle, what's happening? Yami asked. I don't know, there's nothing wrong with my spell just hit something strong, we must be getting closer, perhaps the magical pressure is stronger the closer we are to the temple. Noelle exclaimed back. If it's magic that's the problem, send me out there, Asta said as he pulled out the demon slayer from his grimoire. I can cut through it. No way, you might be able to cut through it, but the pressure around us will kill you before you could even try, Yami said against him as he turned to their water mage. Noelle, can you get us through it? I'll try, she replied as she tightened the grip on her wand. Come on, you can do this, you know you can, she exclaimed to herself as the cradle began to slowly pass through the wall of pressure. That's it, keep going, you're going to do it. Thankfully, the sphere passed through safely, everyone cheered. All right. Nice work, Noelle, Keno said. The water mage started to catch her breath, unable to respond at the moment, so she merely turned to him and gave him a thumbs up. The cradle spell then disappeared and they began falling down. Don't worry, I can handle this one. Finral exclaimed as he formed a portal. They all fell into it, coming out of another portal closer to the ground. Thanks Finral, everyone said as they got up and looked forward, their eyes widened. Below where they were was a massive amount of space, with many stone-tiered structures around, but in the center of the space was a structure that looked similar, but was much larger than the rest. Incredible, Asta muttered before he realized something. Wait a minute, we can breathe down here. Yeah, I thought as much, we wouldn't be assigned a mission like that without Julius telling us, Yami said. But I'm surprised, when I heard the name of the place we were going, I was just expecting to see the temple, Keno said as he pointed at the large structure in the center. That's most likely the temple, but there are other structures too, almost like an underwater community. Hey everybody, look behind you, Lux said. They all did so and were surprised to see what was there. Water barrier, Noelle said aloud. So the thing that hit my cradle wasn't pressure, but that barrier. It's possible, the full moon most likely weakened any pressure to the point where it couldn't interfere with your spell. This barrier must also be allowing air in here, Ghosh replied. Well, no need to worry about that. If that big building in the center's the temple, then let's head over there, Yami said. Who's going to bring us? I've got this one. Charmy stepped up as she took her grimoire out. Cotton magic. Cloud of wool. She exclaimed as her transportation cloud appeared, but this one was much larger than her usual one. Hop on. They did so as the cloud flew up and started to descend into the underwater community. Once they reached ground level, they all hopped off as the cloud dispersed. Damn, the place looks even larger from here, Keno stated. Footsteps were then heard around the black bulls. They turned, ready to face whatever danger was present, but no danger was there. Instead, they saw something they weren't expecting to see. People. There are people down here. Magna asked openly. I guess there are. After all, somebody had to erect these buildings, Noelle replied. But, how did they even get down here? This is a strong magic region. The full moon may weaken the strength temporarily, but that only allows for safe passage once a month. There are two logical explanations I can think of, Keno spoke up. Either they're people from the surface who just decided to live here and came here during the times when the strong magic region was weak, or there were people who came here hundreds of years ago and established this community, and these people must be their descendants. Either way, they must have grown accustomed to the strong levels of mana around here in order to survive and create a civilization. For now, let's just hope they're friendly, Finral stated as he took into account their numbers. Because we're vastly outnumbered. The natives looked at the magic knights. The knights looked back at them, noting their attire. They wore either sleeveless white dresses or sleeveless white shirts and pants. Asta, Kenos, and Noel raised a brow. That's odd, the clothes they're wearing look familiar. But to the surprise of the surface dwellers, the underwater natives all smiled. We have visitors. They all cheered, and some of them erupted into a unified dance. Huh, they all said with looks of obvious confusion. A woman then walked up them. A welcoming smile was on her face. Hello there. Welcome to our community. We've never had visitors from the surface before since many mages are unable to cross the strong magic region. You're the first ones, please accept our hospitality. The natives that weren't dancing were waving at the black bulls, smiles and grins on their faces. I guess we have nothing to worry about for now, Yami told them as they all waved back. The dark mage then turned to the woman. Excuse me, if it's possible, could we go up to the temple? Why, of course, we'll lead you there, the woman replied as walked towards the temple, the magic knights right behind her. They began to climb up the steps leading to the temple entrance, chatting with the natives as they did so. A minute passed and they were in front of the door. Here it is, the entrance. You'll meet the high priest. We'll have a celebration for you when you come back, or rather, if you come back, the woman giggled as the door opened on its own. Sure, we'll do that, Kenos said uneasily as he and the others entered the temple. The doors then shut behind them. The interior of the temple was dimly lit by a dull blue light, but that was only true for the short hallway they were in. Not too far away, they saw a large room with a brighter blue light. I'm guessing the high priest the woman was talking about must be in there, Vanessa stated as they all walked through the hallway, coming into the bright room. Wow, this place looks beautiful, Gray commented. But, where's the high priest? Hello there. I see I have visitors, a voice said from behind the transformation mage. Everybody turned to see a short old man. He had a long white beard, as well as long white hair that somehow defied the laws of physics by staying in the air. He wore a large coat with a large collar. Under it, he wore a purple shirt with turquoise pants. Shit! Everyone exclaimed as they all jumped, startled by the old man's sudden appearance. What are you trying to do? Give us a heart attack or something? Asta exclaimed. And just who the hell are you anyway? How rude of me. I haven't introduced myself. I'm Gifso, the high priest of the underwater temple, the old man greeted. Oh, so you're the high priest. Well, it's nice to meet you. We're the Black Bulls, Yami introduced. I know. I heard the celebrating outside. I must say, it's so nice to have visitors. So, what have you come for? Gifso asked. We're here for a magic stone. We were told one was here. If you could kindly give it to us, we'll be on our way, the dark mage replied. Magic stone. Oh, you mean this? Gifso asked once more as he moved his beard aside, revealing a stone hanging down his neck. Yeah, that's the one. Asta spoke up. Gifso chuckled as he let his beard go. I'm sorry, but I can't give this to you just like that. You'll have to earn it, he said. And to do that, we're going to play a game. Magna squatted down to his knees. Hey, Luck, Gauche, he whispered to the two people closest to him. They squatted down to his level. There's no way we're going to play a game for that stone, so I say we just kill him and take it. He's old, it's not like he can put up much of a fight, then we can have Finral teleport us out of here. Sounds good to me, the lightning and mirror mages agreed. Unfortunately for them, Kenos was standing close enough to hear their exchange. Guys, we're not killing him, he just wants us to play a game. Let's be honest, that's a lot easier than the other missions we've been on, he told them before turning to the old man. Alright Gifso, what'll we be playing? A great question young man, the game we'll be playing is called, Gifso began, turning to Noel and Vanessa, his arms extended. The booby squeezing game. He didn't last a single second as Noel kicked him to the ground and started stepping on his back. I'll show you a thing or two, you old pervert. Noel, stop, he's the high priest, and an old man. Asta and Kenos exclaimed together. The water mage turned to the two of them with a deadpan expression. Well, I'm royalty, I'll pay for his funeral, she said, but eventually stopped, knowing that killing him wouldn't end well for them. Gifso slowly got up and bent backward. Ha, sorry about the offensive joke, you youngsters are so sensitive these days. The real game we'll be playing is called Temple Battle Royale. Temple Battle Royale, everyone asked. That's right, behold, Gifso exclaimed as 10 figures jumped into the air from out of nowhere and landed in a neat horizontal line. They were wearing either a white coat with blue outlines or red ones. Meet the priests and priestesses of the underwater temple, also known as the Temple Mages. The Temple Battle Royale will have you go against these mages in a 10-on-10 battle around the temple itself. Noelle crossed her arms. That's better. So what are the rules? I'll use my magic to scatter you around the interior of the temple. The fights will happen simultaneously. Each of you will fight a temple mage. You can either be teleported right next to them, or we'll have to find them. Know that you're not designated to the mage you fight. You can fight another temple mage if you beat the first one or run into a new one. But either way, you'll fight. If you manage to either knock out or incapacitate a mage in a way, they're eliminated. The side that manages to eliminate the mages on the other side first wins, Gifso explained. Sounds simple enough. Are there any more rules? Ghosh asked. Let's see. Killing is an absolute no-no. If any mage kills another, their side automatically loses. As well as that, multiple mages of one side are allowed to gang up on one of another side, Gifso replied. Those are all the rules, so are you all ready? Wait, I have a question. Keno spoke up. There's a problem. You said there are 10 temple mages, but there are 11 of us, wouldn't that be unfair? Nope, there's no mistake. Gifso laughed as he pointed at Yami. I've heard of magic knights, they're supposed to be quite strong, and out of all of you, I feel the strongest mana signature coming from this guy, so he must be your captain. He's way too strong, adding him would be unfair, so it's just the 10 of you playing. Really? That's hilarious. Yami laughed as well as he walked to the old man. I'm Yami Sukahiro. Nice to meet you, Yami. Let's head to the watching area. I have food and drinks waiting for us while we watch them fight, Gifso said. Oh, and the people outside will be watching as well, this will act as some good entertainment. So, are you ready now? We are, the Black Bulls replied, as well as the temple mages. Great, so let's begin, he said as he took out his grimoire. Game magic. Temple shuffle. He exclaimed as everyone was transported around the temple. He and Yami were teleported into the watching area, a couch was there for them to sit on, and in front of them was a counter full of food and drinks. Screens then appeared above the counter, larger screens appeared outside the temple too so the people could watch. Not a bad spot, Yami commented as the two of them sat down on the couch. He then reached towards the counter and grabbed what looked like a bottle of alcohol. Why thank you, Gifso said as he grabbed his own bottle. Cheers. Cheers, Yami said as they bumped bottles and gulped down their drinks. Ah, that hits the spot. I know, say, just curious, how strong are your mages? Gifso responded before asking. They're all juniors, Yami plainly replied. The game mage laughed. Just juniors, then I'm sorry to say that this will end quickly. By your ranking system, my mages are all upper intermediate class, some are even in the senior rank. As that's so, Yami said as the two of them looked at the screens. From what they could see, Asta, Magna, Luck, Ghosh, and Charmy had already found their opponents. Across from the swordsman was a mage who wore an octopus mask, he chuckled. So, you people are the Black Bulls, the worst squad in the Clover Kingdom, and I don't sense any magic from you individually, it seems my opponent is a dud. A dud, Asta said with a calm yet serious tone as he pulled out the Demon Slayer, he readied himself. Let's see how much of a dud I am. A sword, futile, with my mollusk magic, attacks phase right through me, this fight was over before it even began. He exclaimed as he ran towards Asta. I'm not going to lose, was Asta's only response as he raced towards the mage and brought his sword down, sending him to the ground. What? Gifso exclaimed in surprise, gasping as Asta defeated the mollusk mage so easily. He then looked to see Magna, Luck, Ghosh, and Charmy defeat their opponents just as easily. We may be the worst squad, the dark mage began. Gifso turned around to see Yami blow smoke from a cigarette. But we're by no means the weakest. What a joke, especially when she was talking such a big game. Let's finish this quick so I can call Marie again, Ghosh said, walking away from his unconscious opponent with his hands in his pockets. That guy was mega weak, but luckily for me, I'm right next to a stream, time to find me some marine nom-noms. Charmy cheered as she pulled a fishing pole out of nowhere and placed it in the stream. You seem to be enjoying yourself. Charmy looked up to see a temple mage on the other side of the stream, she was wearing a dolphin mask. Oh, another opponent, you're not going to get in the way of my searching, bring it on. Okay then, but something tells me this won't take long, her opponent said as she brought her hands up to a 45-degree angle. Charmy raised a brow before she heard something. What? Is she singing? What's that supposed to do? There's no way that can stop me. She thought as her eyes grew heavy, she then fell asleep. The temple mage jumped over the stream and looked down at the cotton mage. That was easy, she said as she walked out of the area, but in the distance, she saw Noelle, back turned, walking into a room. Behind her mask, she grinned. I found my next opponent, she muttered as she stealthily ran after her. So, you're my opponent? Kenos asked as he stared down the temple mage before him. He wore a swordfish mask. The solar mage took out his grimoire. Show me what you got. Solar creation magic. Solar construct. Blade. He equipped the weapon and charged forward. The temple mage neither said or did anything as Kenos drew closer. He jumped into the air, ready to strike, but the masked mage jumped out of the way at the last second. Those aren't some bad reflexes, let's see if you can do it again. Kenos said as he moved in and kept attacking, but his opponent continued evading. The solar mage grew impatient. Come on, why don't you attack? He jumped into the air once more, but this time, his attack was met by a short blue blade. Kenos also noted that a bubble-like stream followed the blade. As the solar mage landed, his eyes widened. That spell, he pointed at the mage. That was assisting steps. The mage stopped and took off his mask and put down his hood, revealing the dance mage, Kyoto. That's right. Nice seeing you again, Kenos. No wonder you were able to dodge all of my attacks. Due to our training on the beach, you know all my moves, Kenos realized. That explains the similarities in your clothes with the rest of the people's, but why didn't you tell me you were from the underwater temple? Sorry, we're not allowed to say where we're from. That was my grandfather's rule. I might not like it, but he's the high priest, Kyoto replied. I see, Kenos said as he got into a stance. Well, you don't have to hide now, you can give it everything you got. Kyoto got into his own stance. You got it, you better bring your best too. The two were about to charge at each other, but stopped as a scream was heard. They looked to their left to see a tall rock path, and running through it was Asta. He jumped into the air, landing right next to Kenos. Hey there, mind if I drop in? Kenos slightly grinned at his squadmate's quip, but then his face grew serious as they looked at Kyoto. I don't mind, but I'd like to take on Kyoto alone. Kyoto, is that his name? You know him? Asta asked. He pointed his sword at the dance mage. I know you want to fight him, but I just want to have a test of how strong he is. The swordsman charged at Kyoto. He launched his sword forward, but Kyoto skillfully danced out of the way. Not a bad attack. My turn. Dance magic. Gyration blade. He exclaimed as he spun violently, looking like a small tornado as he approached Asta. What the? The magicless mage muttered as he brought the demon slayer forward to block his attack, but the attack was too fast and the dance mage managed to get a cut on him. Crap. Asta backed up and felt the blood coming from his cut. No way. I can't read his ki. Ki. So, you're the friend Kenos told me about, the one who mastered ki. Well, you won't be able to read mine. When I fight, I almost enter a kind of trance, making my attacks unpredictable, Kyoto explained. I chose not to enter my fighting trance in order to help Kenos with his training, but that won't be true here. All good with me. I might not be able to read your ki, but that doesn't mean we're giving up. Asta exclaimed. Where's my opponent? I haven't run into them yet. Did one of the others beat them already? That's a good thing. I may have learned a new spell, but I still don't have any powerful offensive options, Noelle wondered as she walked around, but then a rock fell right behind her. The water mage turned around but was surprised to see the dolphin-masked temple mage on top of a rock path. My opponent, I presume? Noelle asked as she took out her grimoire. The mage nodded as she took off her mask and put down her hood. Hi, friend. The royal girl was shocked to see that the mage above her was none other than the song mage, Kahono. What are you doing here? You're a priestess, that's why your clothes looked like the people's outside. Why didn't you tell me you lived here? Rules, we're not allowed to tell people where we're from, but that's all I couldn't tell you, Kahono replied. Other than that, I want to say I'm proud of you, you were able to make a new spell. I did it with your help, Noelle said back as she pointed her wand at the girl. But it seems we're enemies this time. She fired a water ball at her, but as it was coming closer, it suddenly changed direction and hit the wall. Damn it. What are you doing? Kahono asked. That attack didn't hit me. I already told you I have trouble controlling my magic, Noelle replied. The song mage raised a brow. What are you talking about? The problem with control only exists with your defense and development. As for your offense, you can control it just fine, you just subconsciously don't want to hurt anyone and it only looks like a lack of control. Noelle's eyes widened. I just don't want to hurt anyone. She looked at her wand. Of course I don't. I've faced so much pain in my life, so my subconscious doesn't want me to inflict it on others. But despite that, I still have to fight. Why don't I finish this fast? Just like you, I want to win without hurting anyone, Kahono said as her grimoire came up. Song magic. Mother lullaby. She exclaimed as she softly sang. Noelle suddenly began to feel her eyes get heavy, but she fought back the urge. No, water creation magic. Sea dragon's lair. She exclaimed as the water barrier formed around her. Not bad, Kahono said. I guess this isn't going to be easy after all. Hey, Magna, Luck exclaimed as he ran to the flame mage. I take it you beat your opponent. Yeah, but that battle was nowhere near what I was expecting, Magna replied. I know, my fight was really boring. My opponent could only take 2 hits before they passed out. Lame, Luck said before he turned, seeing a long, straight path before them. Something the matter? Magna asked. The lightning mage grinned. I'm sensing mana coming from that direction, and it feels strong too. I think I found my next opponent. He replied with an exclamation as he ran down the path. No way in hell are you fighting them, I'm going to fight them. Magna exclaimed as he ran down the path after him. A few minutes passed before the two black bulls arrived at the end of the path. A good amount of yards away was a temple mage. He wore a hammerhead mask. It's about time my opponent showed up, but it seems there are two of you. I'm your opponent. Luck stepped up. Magna stepped up. No, I'm your opponent. You can't decide. Then why don't you both come at me? It's not like either of you could beat me alone, he said. Both of us. They repeated before they both grinned. No complaints here. Nice. Better take this off, he said as he took off his mask and put down his hood, revealing his short black hair and goatee with a long black ponytail as well as two short strands of hair by the side of his mouth. Name's Geo. Just thought you should know before I take you down. That's our line. Luck exclaimed as his grimoire came out. Lightning magic. Thunderbolt destruction. He fired the orbs at Geo. Not a bad attack, but that's not going to hit me, he said as he took out his grimoire. Water creation magic. Sea God's shield. He exclaimed as a floating shield of water appeared in front of him, blocking the attack. Ooh, you blocked it. This won't be easy, but that just makes this more exciting. Luck cheered. Same here. Let's start this fight off properly. Geo exclaimed as he started running, but stopped as a part of the area's wall broke down. Dust surrounded the spot. Huh, the three said with confusion. Hey there, a voice said. As the dust settled, a large orange whale was seen. The whale then disappeared, revealing the one speaking to be the beast mage of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, Veto, and behind him were hooded mages. Veto grinned evilly at the three mages across from him. Mind if I join in on the mix?